Chapter 1560. The only one I missed was you. Another big tree moved over. He had planned for so long, waiting for the Wraith Staff and the Book of the Dead to raise the glazed demon, but in the end, there was such an accident. He had a feeling that if he couldn't make her give in, everything he had done would be ruined. The humans had destroyed his Wraith world, so he wanted to destroy the human world. He couldn't let his efforts go to waste. I can let you out, but the glazed demon and the Wraith Staff must stay, the big tree continued. What about him? The big tree was silent for a moment. With the glazed demon in his body, he can only die. Sher Shang's expression darkened, and his voice seemed to be filled with murderous intent. If he dies, I will let you and your Wraith world die with him. These words were domineering and arrogant. The big tree was silent for a moment, and the whole tree stopped. After a long time, he said, "There is another way. We can keep the glazed demon and let him live." Sher Shang's voice was cold, and there was no fluctuation in it. "What way?" "Become a wraith." Sher Shang was furious. "Why don't you go and die?" The big tree. There was a moment of silence, and then the big tree continued, "Even if we don't let the glazed demon leave his body, he won't live for long. After the glazed demon is formed, it will devour the host. Becoming a wraith is the only way. If I want him to live, he will live, no matter what the cost." The woman's voice was filled with determination. The surrounding light wrapped around her, and her whole body seemed to be covered in a layer of dazzling light. It was so bright that she couldn't open her eyes. No matter how many difficulties and obstacles there were, she would clear them all and give him a prosperous and peaceful life. The glazed demon is not as easy to deal with as you think. The big tree seemed to be very confident. "Then I will die with him." The big tree. What else could it say? No matter what she did, she would die in the end. She was not afraid of death now, and there was probably nothing that could threaten her. Dong Yu glanced sideways, his face full of smiles under the hood. Master Jean, who was standing at the side, could see it. He thought strangely, what was so funny? He was going to die, and he could still smile. I really don't understand the thoughts of these perverts. The tree was silent for a while before its branches shook violently. At the same time, the plants in the entire space began to grow crazily. The tree's voice became sharp and crazy. "I gave you a chance, but you didn't want it. Don't blame me for being rude. This space is mine, and you can only be slaughtered by me here." Sher Shang sneered. "I can even destroy an entire plane. Why would I be afraid of your space?" The big tree did not respond to the Sher Shang. Instead, the surrounding trees sprouted branches and lashed at them. It looked like they wanted to kill them. "Follow me closely," Sher Shang ordered Dong Yu and asked him to control the undead puppets. Naturally, Sher Shang did not take Master Jean and the others into consideration. If they could keep up with him, they would be lucky. If not, they could only blame themselves for being unlucky. Sher Shang clenched his iron sword, chopped away the vines, and quickly rushed towards the center of this world. Dong Yu followed beside her effortlessly. On the other hand, Master Jean and the others were in a sorry state. She was only responsible for the vines around Dong Yu, and did not care about the ones behind her. If she was too slow, she would be blocked by the vines that grew out again. "Ah!" A blood-curdling scream came from beside Sorcerer Jean. He turned his head and saw that the person who was beside him just now had been swept into the air by the vines. Several vines exerted force at the same time, and the person was torn apart. Fresh blood splattered from the air and splattered on his face. It was still warm. Master Jin's heart thumped wildly. He shouted at the people behind him, "Hurry up, don't fall behind." What was going on? Roar. Master Jean froze when he heard the roar. He looked up and saw a few undead beasts in front of them, blocking their way. It was not just one, but a few. Before Master Jean could react, the first undead beast had fallen to the ground. He stared in shock, and his eyes reflected the figures flying in the air. Master Jean gulped and quickly chased after them. Sher Shang had already swept away the undead beasts in their way and was running towards the center. The closer they got to the center, the denser the forest became. The vines attacking them also became denser. Master Jean and the others were having a hard time. Perhaps it was because Shi Shang and the others were close to the center, the plants became anxious. All the vines intertwined and formed a huge green wall in front of them. There were sharp thorns on the wall, and anyone who dared to go up would be pierced into a sieve. However, the iron sword was like cutting through tofu. With a single slash, a path was carved out. When they reached the center, Shi Shang quickly drew a strange array in the middle of a few trees. "What are you doing?" The tree's sharp voice came from the sky. "Stop. Stop right now." The tree wanted to attack Shi Shang in a frenzy, but there seemed to be a transparent shield around him. There was no way to get close to him. After Shi Shang finished the last stroke, he looked up at the crazy plants around him. "Of course I'm going to destroy this place. Who told you to threaten I?" If this thing did not touch Feng Ci, she might even consider giving the undead staff to him. Shi Shang returned to Dong Yu's side and quickly retreated to the edge of the forest. The plants could not stop him at all. Master Jean was tired of following behind, so why did he have to run in and out? When Shi Shang reached the place where they came in, he suddenly stabbed the iron sword into the ground. A strange red light overflowed from the iron sword, and a red light spread out from the tip of the sword to the ground. Wherever it passed, the plants turned into ashes, as if they had encountered something terrible. The red light soon disappeared into the forest. Shi Shang hugged Dong Yu tightly as she looked coldly at the red light that shot into the sky. The red light formation quickly took shape in the air. It spun in a circle before suddenly expanding in all directions, encompassing the entire world. A strange suction force came. The plants around them fell in one direction and withered at a speed visible to the naked eye. "Stop it, stop it." The tree's voice was filled with panic. He could feel the life force of the world disappearing, being sucked away by the strange light array. The plan he had planned for so long was going to fail. No, he could not accept it. He wanted the humans to be punished. It was all because of them that he had ended up like this. Rumble. It seemed like some kind of monster was about to come out from underground. The tremors made everyone lose their footing. The ground began to crack, and the skeletons of the undead crawled out from the cracks. These undead were different from the undead they had seen before. They looked like they had been dyed in a vat of dye. They were eerily blue, almost merging with the soul flames in their heads. "What are these?" Master Jean yelled. However, no one responded to him. The blue undead began to attack them as soon as they crawled out. The other undead were unable to move in the underground palace, but these undead were not affected at all. They were even more agile than the ordinary undead. Shi Shang dodged the attacks of two undead. He spun the iron sword on the ground in a circle. The huge light array shrouding the sky also spun. Countless rays of light then condensed into sharp swords that fell from the sky. The whole world was sliced apart by the sharp swords and began to break into pieces. There were too many words. The next author had something to say. Chapter 1561. Even when Master Jean stepped on the hot yellow sand, he still felt like he was floating. His vision kept shaking, blurring the scene in the distance. His face was pale, and there was still fear in his eyes, as if he had seen something terrifying. So this was how the collapse of a world could be analyzed. Rumble. The ground in the distance had completely collapsed. From where they were standing, they could only see a deep black hole. Yellow sand was pouring in, and they couldn't see the bottom at all. The underground palace. A mage crawled to Master Jin's side, clearly frightened. The underground palace collapsed? Master Jean tugged at his clothes and tried his best to look calm. It collapsed. The legendary underground palace collapsed just like that. How lucky he was to be the one to witness this miracle. But he couldn't smile at all, he wanted to cry now. Damn, it scared him to death. In the depths of the underground palace, Lan Bing was trapped in an extremely small space. When it collapsed, she was still fighting with the undead beast. The underground palace started to shake, and then countless stones fell from above. The undead beast was pressed down by the stones, and she quickly ran towards the place that hadn't collapsed yet. But the speed of the underground palace's collapse was much faster than her, and she was trapped in this narrow space. Feng Xie. Lan Bing adjusted her position. She couldn't even stretch her body in this space. Feng Xie. Feng Xie didn't respond, and even Little Cat didn't respond. Lan Bing tried to calm her breathing, but she couldn't hear the familiar voice. She panicked slightly. Pada. There was a crisp sound above her head, as if a stone had fallen into a crack, and it kept rolling down. The darkness in front of Lan Bing disappeared. People came and went in front of her. These people were dressed beautifully, and they stood in groups of 2 or 3 as they chatted. Was she back? How could it be? Lil Bing, what are you waiting for? Hurry, the wedding is about to start. Lan Bing was suddenly pulled, and pressed in front of the dressing table. A white veil was placed in front of her. In the dressing table, a beautiful woman sat upright. She was wearing a white wedding dress, and her face was confused. Why was she back? This wedding, in the end, wasn't it? Lil Bing, are you so happy that you've gone silly? Why are you in a daze? That voice sounded again. Today is the wedding you've been looking forward to. Aren't you happy marrying the person you like? The person she liked? Was he the one who had sent her to the operating table and robbed her of everything? No. She did not want to marry him. Lan Bing wanted to stand up, but she realized that she couldn't. She could only move when the people behind her pulled her up. How could this be? Let's go. The wedding is about to begin. She was pulled up again. This time, she could actually move. She opened the door and saw familiar faces outside. All of them had smiles on their faces as they escorted her downstairs. She could touch them. They had warmth and flesh, as if they were real. She was led to the entrance of the wedding, and a familiar elder held her arm as they walked down the red carpet. At the end of the red carpet, a tall man stood quietly. He stood there like a shining body, and everything around him was reduced to a foil. It was this man. Lan Bing clenched her fists. Her eyes were filled with murderous intent as she glared at the man. The man had a faint smile on his face as he walked towards her. He stood in front of her amidst the laughter of the crowd. Lan Bing wanted to kill him, but she realized that she couldn't move at all. What was going on? Lil Bing. The man leaned over and whispered in her ear. Her hand was placed in the man's hand, and the man gently led her to the front of the stage. Lan Bing tried to break free from the man several times, but she didn't succeed at first. She was still in a daze even after the wedding ended. Whatever she wanted to say would turn into something else in the end, overlapping with the scene in her memory. She was like a passerby, watching her and that man's wedding once again. Lan Bing sat in the spacious room, staring at the mirror in a daze. Tonight she would lose everything. Gotcha. The door was pushed open, and the man walked in. There was still a faint smile on his handsome face. Lil Bing, are you tired? No. Lan Bing heard herself speak in a shy voice. The man approached her and kissed her forehead, then between her eyebrows, the tip of her nose, and then her lips. When Lan Bing fell onto the bed, she still couldn't react. This was different from what she remembered. The man kissed her gently, took off her clothes, and became one with her. Lan Bing's consciousness drifted. Lan Bing didn't know when she lost consciousness. She thought that when she woke up, she would see the cold room and the researchers wearing masks, but she didn't. She saw that handsome face. Morning. The man opened his eyes and gave her a gentle smile. Morning. Lan Bing said blankly. Then, she suddenly woke up. She could actually control her body. Why are you in a daze? Did I scare you last night? The man touched Lan Bing's head. I didn't expect your body to be so weak in this aspect. I'll be more careful in the future. Lan Bing realized that everything was different from what she remembered. The man didn't send her to the operating table for research on the night of their wedding. He was still as gentle as before. What she experienced before was like a dream. Lan Bing tried to test him several times, but there was nothing strange about the man. He was her husband, and he doted on her very much. Perhaps it was really just a dream of hers. How could people really transmigrate like in novels? Lan Bing was in a daze for a long time. In the end, she believed that it was really a dream. In the darkness, the vines seeped into the narrow space and wrapped around the unconscious Lan Bing. The tentacles burrowed into her skin and swam in her blood. After making sure that there was no resistance, the tentacles surged into her body. Lan Bing was occupying this body, and now, the tentacles were trying to squeeze Lan Bing out of this body. Although it wasn't very successful, it succeeded. Lan Bing's soul was still asleep, and there was no reaction at all. The vines wrapped around her soul, and they became more excited when they sensed that there was something stronger in her soul. The vines carefully probed, and after confirming that the thing was also asleep, they immediately prepared to devour Lan Bing's soul. Feng Xie, who was sleeping, sensed danger, but this place seemed to be able to block some of his abilities. He had used too much power to help Lan Bing survive here, so he didn't have any strength to struggle now. If Lan Bing didn't protect him, he could only be trampled on. Feng Xie tried to wake Lan Bing up, but Lan Bing didn't respond at all. Seeing that the vines were about to swallow him, Feng Xie had no choice but to forcefully break the contract with Lan Bing. The moment the contract was broken, Lan Bing's soul was devoured by the vines. Feng Xie wanted to run, but the vines still caught him. Teske, I didn't expect to catch a divine beast. What a surprise. The voice was sharp, but it wasn't hard to tell that it was the same voice that Shi Shang and the others had encountered. Chapter 1562. Shi Shang and the others came out of a very desolate place. At least, people like Master Jean, who had been wandering around the netherworld, had never seen this place before. How on earth did this underground palace move? How did it move to another place in such a short time? Master Jean sat beside Shi Shang, his face still a little pale. A magic array. Shi Shang used his iron sword to draw something on the ground and answered without raising his head. A magic array? Master Jin's expression was strange. How big is the magic array needed to support the movement of the underground palace? Shi Shang glanced at Master Jin. Why else do you think he took away the vitality of the entire netherworld? From her point of view, the first king of the undead in the legends was merely venting his anger by taking away the vitality of the entire undead world. He did not even hesitate to use the soul fires of his own kind to provide him with power so that he could survive in another way. When he said that he would take revenge, he was only taking revenge for himself. He actually planned this for so many years. Master Jean sighed. I really didn't expect that we sorcerers came to be like this. Master Jean did not know how to react when he suddenly realized that his own ancestor was also so insidious. You believe what he said? Shi Shang tilted his head and looked at Master Jean. Master Jean was puzzled. Is it wrong? Shi Shang shrugged. Anyway, I don't believe it. Why? Shi Shang continued to draw the yellow sand with his iron sword. His voice was scattered by the whistling wind. No matter what it is, don't believe it easily unless you have solid evidence. First impressions are the strongest, and you will suffer a great loss. In order to achieve certain goals, they would often say things that were biased towards themselves. What the King of the Dead said was only a one-sided story. There was no way to verify the truth at that time. If it's not what he said, then what is it? Master Jean was curious. You can check some ancient books. Maybe there are records of it. Shi Shang stood up and walked in the direction of Dong Yu. But what's the point of looking into this now? It was so long ago. No matter what the truth was at that time, sorcerers and the netherworld were now on opposite sides. They would not start to get along peacefully just because they knew the truth. Looking at Shi Shang's back, Master Jean could not help but shudder. Compared to the undead king, Shi Shang was even more terrifying. Shi Shang did not leave with Master Jean, so Master Jean soon separated from Shi Shang and the others. Fortunately, they had gone through life and death together. As long as he did not provoke her, Master Jean was not worried that she would turn hostile. Master Yi Xian, that. Master Jean glanced at Dong Yu. What are you going to do? He had colored glaze fiend in his body. I don't know. Let's take one step at a time. Shi Shang waved his hand and said, I'm leaving. Master Jean sighed. Goodbye. Shi Shang and Dong Yu walked in front. Dong Yu leaned against Shi Shang and talked to her. They looked very intimate. And those undead puppets were carrying a little girl behind them. This scene was a little strange no matter how one looked at it. Master Jean shook his head and said to the surviving mages, Let's go, we should go back. Dong Yu needed more and more undead soul fire. Shi Shang could only take him to wander around outside. When he was hungry, he would get some soul fire for him. According to Dong Yu's current needs, Shi Shang had no doubt that he would eat the entire undead world. After Dong Yu had eaten his fill, he lay on Shi Shang's lap and rested. Chu Yunling and an undead puppet were practicing in the distance. Wife. Yes. Dong Yu looked up at Shi Shang. If colored glaze fiend can't suppress it anymore one day, you can kill me. Although it would be fine as long as it was full now, colored glaze fiend would not be able to suppress it one day. And then, you and I will die together, of course, Dong Yu said matter-of-factly. You said it before. Shi Shang chuckled. That's the only thing I remember clearly. Dong Yu propped himself up and kissed her on the lips. I remember this very clearly too. Shi Shang pressed him back down and hugged him with both hands. I will be with you. With her words, he was very satisfied. Sister, sister, look. Chu Yunling ran over from afar. I have learned the first incantation. Chu Yunling ran to the front and stared at Dong Yu a little timidly. Dong Yu was in a good mood and directly buried his face in Shi Shang's abdomen. Chu Yunling's little face was obviously relaxed. Sister, I will learn more incantations and protect you in the future. Chu Yunling's crisp voice flew in the sky full of yellow sand. My wife has me to protect her. She doesn't need you. Dong Yu snorted. As soon as he spoke, Chu Yunling did not dare to say anything. She looked at Shi Shang pitifully. Shi Shang patted her head. Good luck. Chu Yunling immediately smiled. Yes, I will do my best. She ran back to the undead puppet and continued to practice incantations. Shi Shang touched Dong Yu's neck. How did you refine that puppet? Dong Yu's eyes lit up. Wife, do you want to? In Shi Shang's line of sight, the latter part of his sentence immediately turned into another phrase. Wifey, it's better if you don't know. I'm afraid you won't like me. Okay. He did not want to say, so Shi Shang did not force him. Shi Shang and Dong Yu were wandering outside, and the undead were killed according to the order. This matter was naturally discovered by some sorcerers. At first, they thought that something had happened. Later, some people found out that it was Shi Shang, the scourge, who was cleaning up the undead. Although it was strange, why would she clean up the undead for no reason? She could not absorb so many soul fires even if she wanted to cultivate. However, they found that there was no soul fire near the dead undead at all. Some people guessed that she was going to do something big. Maybe she was going to do some crazy experiments. Before they could figure out Shi Shang's big plan, other places suffered first. There were humans commanding the undead to attack the city, and it was like a hot knife through butter. It was different from the undead armies they had encountered before. These armies were well trained. They would not disperse after attacking the city. Instead, they formed a team like humans. The undead outnumbered humans. When the undead were united, how could humans be a match for them? With so many undead gathered together, it was convenient for Shi Shang. The undead attacked the city at the front, while Shi Shang cleaned up the undead at the back. Meanwhile, the humans followed behind Shi Shang and took back the city. These undead seemed to be endless. Even if Shi Shang destroyed them in batches, they would form a new undead army the next day. These undead are induced. They are very weak. Dong Yu, who absorbed the soul fires, had the most right to speak. The soul fires of these undead were not tasty at all. They could not be full even if they ate so much. Induced? The undead in the underground palace should be able to do that. He holds the life of the entire undead world in his hands. Shi Shang raised his eyebrows and said with interest, "But I heard that the one commanding the undead is a human. Could it be the female lead? How could she survive that?" At that time, the entire underground palace was destroyed. Chapter 1563. The 10,000 Bone City was not spared either. It was taken over by the undead. Wizard Jean ran away quickly, so he did not end up as food for the undead. The mages gathered outside the city of 10,000 Bones, looking at the city from afar. At this critical juncture, the undead and the mages were in an all-out war. They couldn't care less about the difference between dark and light mages. Everyone was discussing together. "Wizard Yi Xian, when are we going to attack the city?" They had been following Shi Shang for the past few days. They were not confident that they could attack the city on their own. The city walls were full of skeletons of the undead. It was a terrifying sight. Shi Shang held his chin and said calmly, "What does it have to do with me if you attack the city?" The wizards were speechless. They had been following her for a long time. They knew that she was destroying the undead for the soul fire. The man beside her, who had never shown his face, was the terminator of the soul fire. They had never seen a wizard who could absorb the soul fire like that. "Wizard Yi Xian," Wizard Jean squeezed out from the crowd, his face filled with excitement. "We meet again." "You're not dead yet." Wizard Jean was speechless. Was it easy for him to survive? Why did she want him to die? Master Jean didn't want to discuss the issue of death with Shi Shang. He quickly shot a glance at Dongyu before speaking in a sneaky manner. "Master Yi Xian, the situation is so chaotic right now. Why did you bring him here? It would be terrible if something happened to the Vajra Glaze at this crucial moment." "What does it have to do with you?" Shi Shang looked calm. "Why don't you think about how to save your life?" Wizard Jean was stunned. He asked tentatively after a while, "Wizard Yi Xian, aren't you going to help?" "Am I crazy?" She would not have come here if it were not for the large number of undead gathered here. Wizard Jean suddenly felt like he did not want to talk to her again for the rest of his life. They could have a nice conversation, but she just had to talk back to him. It was infuriating. "Wizard Yi Xian, you should be careful," Wizard Jean said dryly. He then left under the watchful eyes of the wizards. He was afraid that he would die of anger if he stayed any longer. As soon as he came down, the wizards surrounded him and asked him what his relationship with Shi Shang was. What relationship? They were not related to each other. No. Yes. 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 The war between the undead and the sorcerers became more and more serious. Towards the end, the undead and the sorcerers each occupied half of the undead world. Master Jean, on the other hand, was a purple-robed wizard, and was a core member of the team. Sometimes, there would be disagreements among the mages. These disagreements were mainly between the dark mages and the light mages. Both sides had different views on certain matters. Dark mages were more crude and cruel, while light mages were more cautious. For example, this time, the dark mages were prepared to use some underhanded methods to lure in a few high-level undead, but the light mages disagreed. "Then tell me, what do you have in mind? If we don't get rid of those high undead, we'll definitely lose this battle." The dark mages started arguing furiously. "No matter what method we use, we can't risk our lives to lure the advanced undead like you just said," the light mage insisted. "This is a necessary sacrifice. Even if they die, they will die a worthy death. If you are still so stubborn, the undead will take over the undead world sooner or later. When the time comes, do you think they will show you any mercy?" The dark mages continued to yell. "There must be some other way. We can't risk the lives of our comrades. What's the difference between us and the undead?" "That's enough, stop arguing." Master Jean stood on a high ground and waved his arm. "What's the point of arguing now? You bunch of sanctimonious people. How are you any better than us? You're just afraid of dying, yet you act so righteous. Those who don't know better would think you're really united. The dark mages did not listen to him, and continued to fire at the light mages. The light mages did not back down, either. A war of words broke out between them. Master Jean squeezed in the middle and tried to persuade them. When someone started attacking, Master Jean did not care anymore. He ran to a high ground and watched the battle with Shi Sheng. Why aren't these people working together at a time like this? Master Jean could not hold back his anger. Mage Jean walked between the dark mage and the light mage, proving that he wasn't a bad person. In the current situation, people like him were more clear-headed. The undead army was going to sweep across the undead world and eliminate all humans. How many mages had died in the past few days? They won't cry until they see the coffin. They are more concerned about their own interests before they are about to die. Some people would only choose to put all their eggs in one basket when they had no other choice. F***K. Master Jean cursed. His words were unbearable to the ear, and he did not repeat them for a long time. Shi Sheng was quite impressed. When Master Jean was done cursing, the people below had finished fighting too. The two sides parted unhappily and gathered in their own camps. Shi Sheng glanced at the desert in the distance. The undead army was on the other side of the city. The undead did not need to eat, drink, or poop. They were not afraid of sandstorms, either. As such, the undead stood in a row on the other side. At first glance, the white skeletons, together with the gloomy sky, gave off an eerie feeling. It was a spectacular sight. Did you guys see what the leader of the undead looked like? Shi Sheng retracted her gaze and asked in a seemingly casual manner. The so-called human did not show up. He was only commanding the undead to attack from behind. No. Every time they attacked, they were facing the undead. The so-called human behind the undead was rumored to be incredible, but no one had seen him before. Master Jean seemed to have thought of something. His eyes glittered. Master Xian, do you still have the undead magic staff? It seemed like only the undead magic staff had the ability to summon so many undead. Shi Sheng took out the undead magic staff. Master Jin's eyes shone brighter, as if he wanted to reach out and touch it. It was indescribably funny. Master Xian, you can use the undead magic staff to summon the undead. Master Jean jumped up excitedly. Why didn't I think of it before? If you can summon the undead, wouldn't it be easy to kill them? She wanted the soul fire, and they wanted to fight for territory with the undead. This method was simply killing two birds with one stone. I don't know how to. Shi Sheng honestly rejected Master Jin's unrealistic idea. The original owner didn't know much about how to use the undead magic staff. At most, she could control a few undead. When combined with the undead magic staff, it was more powerful. The method to control the undead king last time was something that Shi Sheng had figured out himself, and it was a half-baked one. The original owner used the undead magic staff as a symbol of status. In addition, her strength wasn't bad, so no one knew if she could use the full power of the undead magic staff. Master Jean. Otherwise, why was it said that dreams were plentiful, but reality was bony? She had a weapon, but she didn't know how to use it. How sullen. Chapter 1564. In the middle of the night, the horn of battle suddenly sounded. The undead army had launched an attack. Dong Yu was woken up. He got up in a daze and turned his head to look for the Shi Sheng. He did not find the Shi Sheng in the tent, so he immediately woke up. Wife. No one responded to him. Dong Yu immediately got out of bed and opened the tent. The undead puppets were standing outside. When they saw him coming out, they immediately turned to face him and bowed slightly to show respect. Dong Yu looked at one of the undead puppets. No one knew what they were talking about, but Dong Yu's face was a little ugly. The noise outside became louder and louder. The mages rushed to the city wall. In the distance, there was a magic light produced by the battle, rendering the sky a magnificent color. Dong Yu's face changed with the light. He wrapped himself in a black robe and walked toward the city gate. The undead puppet immediately went to another tent, picked up Chu Yunling, who was still sleeping, and followed Dong Yu's footsteps. Chu Yunling was suddenly picked up by someone. It was noisy outside. She opened her eyes and looked around blankly. The scene around her kept retreating. She looked strangely at the back of the figure in front of her that was about to merge with the darkness. She hugged the neck of the undead puppet tightly and muttered, "Where are we going? Where's sister?" The undead puppet naturally did not respond to her. Dongyu in front of her would not answer either. "Brother Dongyu, where are we going? Where did sister go?" Chu Yunling called out bravely. Dongyu paused. He did not look back, but his voice flowed with the night. "To find her." Chu Yunling was a little flattered. She did not expect Dongyu to answer her. For a moment, she forgot to speak. When she came back to her senses, they were already outside the city. They were still moving forward, toward the battlefield in front of them. It was the first time Chu Yunling saw Dongyu face the undead head-on. In the past, it was either her sister or the undead puppet who protected him. He had never been so close to the undead. The moment those undead rushed up, the soul fire in their heads shook uncontrollably. In the blink of an eye, the soul fire flew out of their heads. After circling Dongyu a few times, it disappeared into his body. The undead that lost their soul fire directly turned into powder. When the wind blew, they disappeared into the vast earth as if they had never existed. After ordinary undead died, they would leave behind a corpse. But the undead that he faced directly could not even leave behind a corpse. Chu Yunling swallowed her saliva in fear and hugged the undead puppet's neck tightly. In Chu Yunling's heart, undead puppets were much more harmless than Dongyu. Dongyu did not even need to take action. He simply walked forward and soon arrived at the center of the battle. A black-robed woman was fighting with a man wrapped in a mage's robe. The man in the mage's robe was constantly releasing vines in an attempt to capture the black-robed woman. The black-robed woman waved her iron sword and all the vines were cut down. However, the vines were growing too fast. Every time the vines were cut down, new ones would be released. For a moment, the situation was in a stalemate. When Dongyu saw the familiar figure, his flustered heart slowly calmed down. He tightened his black robe and quietly watched the fight. Bang, bang, bang. After a few loud noises, smoke and dust filled the air. Shi Shang retreated to a safe place. When he saw Dongyu, he immediately rushed toward him. The people on the other side seemed to want to stop him. The vines stuck to the ground and quickly rushed toward Dongyu. Dongyu did not even lift his eyelids. The undead puppet behind him stepped forward and grabbed the vines with its bare hands. The vines were blocked, so they could only wrap around the undead puppet and drag it toward the master of the vines. Shi Shang went past it and cut down the vines. The undead puppet immediately turned around and cooperated with the undead puppet behind it to choke the vines. The vines behind it were cut down by Shi Shang one by one. The vines were a little crazy and danced in the air, making whooshing sounds. Some of the undead that were close were directly entangled by the vines. Their soul fire was hooked by the vines' tentacles and pulled out of their heads. "Did I wake you up?" Shi Shang landed beside Dongyu. "Why didn't you tell me that you were leaving?" Dongyu pulled his hood and revealed an aggrieved face. "I didn't think it would take too long. Who knew that this thing would be a little difficult to deal with?" Shi Shang touched his face and comforted him. The vines were the undead in the underground palace. Shi Shang did not know how it got the female lead's body, but it was much stronger than it was in the underground palace. Previously, it sneaked into the city and tried to take Dongyu away. Shi Shang could not let it go. It still doesn't give up. It wants the glaze in your body. Stay here and don't move. I'll kill it. Do you need my help? No, just watch. Shi Shang pursed his lips and smiled. The vines had grown to a terrifying height. A humanoid thing was hanging in the middle. The vines grew from her back and danced in the air like a monster. Her limbs also turned into vines, wriggling and sweeping the undead around her, robbing them of their soul fire. "Give me the glaze." Give it to me. It's mine. Give it back to me. The sharp voice pierced through the night and spread into the distance. It made one's scalp tingle. Sher Shang looked up at the vines. His voice was neither loud nor soft. It was extremely calm. Since you gave it to him, it's his. There's no reason to take it back. The glaze is mine. It's mine. The vines seemed to be a little confused and kept screaming. Sher Shang narrowed his eyes. Then come and get it. The vines twisted into one, each as thick as a bucket. They swung down from the sky like snakes and hit the ground. Yellow sand flew everywhere, dazzling everyone's eyes. Mine, mine, it's mine. I want you to pay the price. You despicable humans. Go to hell, go to hell. The vines attacked Sher Shang while screaming. Sher Shang stepped on the vines and approached the center of the vines at a strange speed. The scattered vines began to withdraw as Sher Shang approached and focused on attacking Sher Shang. It's all your fault. You destroyed everything I had. It's all your fault. I want you to pay with your life. You humans are always so despicable. You are a bunch of vampires. Go to hell. Sher Shang nimbly dodged the vines that were whipping at him. He used his iron sword to cut down some of the vines that were blocking his way. In the blink of an eye, he was close to the center of the vines. He could clearly see the humanoid hanging in the center. Sher Shang silently chanted a magic spell. A magic seal was left on the ground where he stepped. It seemed to be scorching hot, causing the vines to twitch uncontrollably. Finally, Sher Shang stood on a vine closest to the center of the vines. He casually cut down the vines that were rushing at him. His eyes were fixed on the humanoid monster in the center. A magic light flashed across the hem of her dress. The dark patterns flowed like a stream of light, shining brightly. The woman's lips curled into a smile. She had an aura of disdain for the world. Her voice was loud and clear. Your biggest mistake was to touch him. No one was allowed to touch her people. #hashtag today's celestial chrysanthemum flavored vote #awe. It's the 2nd day of June. Those who did not vote yesterday can vote again. Hurry up and check your pockets. Chapter 1565. Boom. Magic seals kept flashing in the air, like a fireworks show that had been prepared for a long time. The vines that were baring their fangs and brandishing their claws withered in the magic seals and fell to the ground, turning into ashes. The undead that were fighting fiercely with the magicians suddenly stopped moving. The scene went still for a few seconds, before the undead fled in all directions. Was the thing that was commanding them dead? Before the mages could react, bean-sized raindrops began to fall from the gloomy sky. Whoosh! Everyone looked up at the sky blankly. The cold rain fell on their cheeks, soaking their dry skin. It rarely rained in the undead world. The rain fell on the ground, soaking the sand. New greenery emerged from the sand, spreading its branches and leaves. It was growing at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, the desolate place had turned into a lawn. Everyone stared at the scene with their mouths agape. What was going on? Meanwhile, the green plants were still growing. Trees, flowers. It was as if the life that had been taken away had been returned to them. The undead world was recovering. Sher Shang stepped on the rain and slowly walked back to Dong Yu. He said with a grimace, I think I've done a good deed. Restoring life to the undead world. It was supposed to be the female lead's job. Is it not good? Dong Yu asked, tilting his head. I don't like to do good deeds. Sher Shang's face was full of disdain. It did not match her identity. She was the villain. What good deed could she possibly do? I've never seen someone so disdainful after doing a good deed. Don't try to guess the thoughts of a lunatic. You won't be able to guess it anyway. Dong Yu pondered for a few seconds. Then I'll just destroy it. Very well. 2 lunatics joining forces. It's over. Over, 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 over. Forget it, it's too much trouble. Sher Shang pulled his hat to block the rain. Let's go. Dong Yu glanced behind him. The undead had mostly dispersed, and the mages were gathering. They were all looking up at the sky. The rain was getting heavier, and the plants were growing even faster. Many of the plants had already grown to waist height, and the yellow sand could no longer be seen. He hugged Shishang and turned around to leave. It did not matter if the world was in ruins or full of life. Wherever she was, it was his home. The netherworld suddenly regained its vitality. At first, some people were apprehensive, but after discovering that these plants were not dangerous, everyone became happy. As for why this happened, it was because the mages present were blocked by the undead. They couldn't get close to the undead, and the sky was filled with flying vines. No one knew who was fighting the mastermind behind the undead. After the incident, no one stepped forward. At the same time, they noticed that Wei Xian, who had been watching the show, had left. Some people guessed that she had done it. Among them, the most capable one was probably Gentle String, who had the undead magic staff. However, there was no evidence, and they couldn't find the culprit, so it became a mystery in the end. The undead world regained its vitality, and the number of undead seemed to have increased. The war between the undead world and the humans did not stop because of the restoration of vitality. They were still in a state of endless conflict. Dong Yu still needed a large amount of soul fire to quench his hunger, so Shishang could not settle down. He could only wander around with Dong Yu to harvest soul fire. Shishang searched everywhere for information about the colored glaze, but most of the records about the effects of the colored glaze were about the effects of the colored glaze in its infancy. There was almost no record of the adult colored glaze. Not to mention how to get the colored glaze out of a person's body. Shishang really couldn't find any way, so in the end, he simply gave up. He would just live as long as he could. Every day, in addition to teaching Chu Yunling, she would find undead for Dong Yu to eat and try to feed him as much as possible. This was probably the busiest place in Shishang's world. They changed places almost every day. The undead in a place reproduced very quickly, but according to Dong Yu's appetite, it was not enough. However, Shishang still seriously doubted that if it weren't for Dong Yu, the undead would have already been overrun. Since the restoration of vitality, the undead reproduced significantly faster. I want to give this to my sister. No. Why? She's mine, so I won't allow it. Shishang had a headache as he looked at the two who were about to quarrel again. Can the two of you stop? Chu Yunling had grown a lot taller, but her face was still round. She looked very cute, completely in line with Shishang's aesthetic standards. Therefore, Dong Yu became more and more vigilant against Chu Yunling, and did not allow her to get close to Shishang. Chu Yunling was also braver than before. She knew that Shishang would protect her, so even if Dong Yu threatened her, he would not really do anything to her. Therefore, she tried all kinds of ways to avoid Dong Yu and get close to Shishang. Every time she was discovered, Chu Yunling would be thrown out. Dong Yu would not be so cruel as to throw her in a dangerous place. He would usually throw her in a place where she would not be hurt, or in a direction where the undead puppets could catch her. Ever since she figured this out, Chu Yunling's courage was about to soar to the sky. Now, she dared to confront Dong Yu head-on. Go away. Dong Yu lifted his robe and drove Chu Yunling to the side. You haven't learned the binding spell yet. Go and learn it. Chu Yunling staggered and shouted unhappily, I've already learned it. Once you've learned it, practice it. You guys, take her away. Dong Yu commanded the undead puppets. The undead puppets immediately stepped forward, carried Chu Yunling, and walked away. Chu Yunling. It was amazing to be able to command the undead puppets. When she learned all the spells, she must save her sister. When will you let her go? Dong Yu turned around and complained to Shishang. If he wanted to kiss her, he had to prevent that little girl from suddenly appearing. When she has the ability to protect herself, then you can let her go. Shishang nodded. At least, he had to let her learn everything before he could let her go. Otherwise, if she was killed when she went out, wouldn't all his previous efforts be in vain? Ever since Shishang said that sentence, Dong Yu began to teach Chu Yunling. After changing teachers, Chu Yunling's life became very tight. She even had to calculate her sleeping time. If she could not finish, she would be punished. Chu Yunling did not complain. As long as Dongyu did not torture her, She Shang would not care if she was tired or suffered. Dongyu might have learned this skill, so he tortured Chu Yunling in all kinds of ways. Especially after Chu Yunling avoided him and whispered to She Shang, she was tortured very badly. Gradually, Chu Yunling's physical fitness became better and better. When Dongyu tortured her, she could deal with it freely. Chu Yunling was very talented and learned spells very quickly. She Shang had taught her everything he could. She also learned many special spells from Dongyu and the undead puppets. Although Dongyu still disliked Chu Yunling, he did not reject her as much as before. Of course, it was just that he did not reject her. It was absolutely impossible for him to treat Chu Yunling as an important person. Chapter 1566. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 years had passed. Chu Yunling had grown into a young girl. The clothes she was wearing were from She Shang's space. They were much nicer than the clothes in the undead world. The little girl was also good-looking. Her every frown and smile was sweet and cute. However, she had a fierce aura that could not be ignored. Yunling. Sister. Chu Yunling immediately let go of the branch in her hand and ran to She Shang's side. What's wrong? Where's brother Dongyu? She looked around suspiciously. Dongyu rarely left her sister's side. Even if he did, he would definitely be in a place where she could see him. It was strange that she did not see him now. He'll be here in a while. Sister. Chu Yunling tilted her head and looked at her. She Shang took out the undead magic staff. This is your father's. I'll give it to you now. Chu Yunling was confused. Then, she waved her hand. But father has already given it to you. I don't want it. She knew what it was and how precious it was. I don't need it. This thing is useless to me. She Shang forced the undead magic staff to her. Although your father did not raise you, he still loves you. Otherwise, he would not have asked me to look for you and take care of you. She Shang did not hide anything about Chu Qiong. She even told Chu Yunling about how Chu Qiong was besieged. She had the right to know because she was Chu Qiong's daughter. As for whether to take revenge or not, it was Chu Yunling's decision. No one could protect her forever. She had to learn to make decisions and bear the consequences of her own decisions. Chu Yunling seemed to have realized something. Her face turned ugly. She held the undead magic staff tightly. Sister, are you chasing me away? She heard from Dongyu that the day she could protect herself would be the day she left. She knew that at this time, she did not want to study. However, she remembered that she had said that she would protect her sister well. If she did not work hard, how could she protect her sister? Therefore, even if she knew that she would most likely leave her sister on the day she finished her studies, she did not dare to slack off. The netherworld is very big, and there's an even bigger world outside the netherworld. Don't you want to go and take a look? She Shang rubbed her head. You still have a long future ahead of you, but Dongyu and I don't have much time left in the netherworld. I want to be alone with him. Big sister. Tears welled up in Chu Yunling's eyes. Sadness and sadness were written all over her little face. Why are you crying? She Shang pinched her cheeks and said, I told you not to cry so easily. You can show your weakness to those you trust, but you can't show it to outsiders. But big sister is someone I trust. Chu Yunling couldn't stop crying. I don't want to leave sister. I won't disturb you and brother Dongyu. Can you let me follow you? No way. She Shang's expression was indifferent. His tone left no room for negotiation. Chu Yunling pursed her lips and tears trickled down her cheeks. Dongyu came back when Chu Yunling was crying. He skillfully inserted himself between She Shang and Chu Yunling and said, He will follow you from now on. If there's anything, you can tell us through him. We'll know. Dongyu was referring to an undead puppet. The undead puppet immediately stepped forward and stood behind Chu Yunling. Chu Yunling sniffed. She was so sad that she couldn't speak. But she knew that her sister's decision would not change. She was not Dong Yu. Dong Yu could get what he wanted immediately by acting coquettishly and saying a few soft words. He could even make her sister change her mind. Even if he was fooling around, her sister would indulge him. But she couldn't, because she was not Dong Yu. She used to be jealous of Dong Yu, and she was still jealous now. He alone got all her sister's love. The more Chu Yunling thought about it, the sadder she became. She turned around and ran away with the undead puppet immediately followed her like a shadow. The two figures soon disappeared into the forest. Dong Yu pulled down his hood and asked for praise. Did he do well? Shi Shang laughed and tapped the tip of his nose. You. He had cut off Chu Yunling's chance to ask for help. His undead puppet was very powerful and there wouldn't be any problems under normal circumstances. Chu Yunling didn't leave. When it was almost evening, she ran back. Except for her slightly red eyes, she had already restrained her emotions. Dong Yu immediately looked at her with disdain. Why haven't you left yet? Chu Yunling didn't argue with Dong Yu. She walked straight to Shi Shang, knelt down solemnly and kowtowed. Thank you for raising me, sister. After 3 kowtows, Chu Yunling got up. Sister, I'm leaving. Take care. Shi Shang waved his hand. Go. Chu Yunling's eyes turned even redder when Shi Shang spoke. She held back her tears, turned around and ran away. As she ran, she shouted, Brother Dong Yu, you must take good care of sister. I don't need you to say that, Dong Yu muttered, but he watched Chu Yunling disappear into the forest. She wouldn't come back this time, right? Chu Yunling indeed didn't come back. Through the undead puppet, Dong Yu could clearly know that she was getting further and further away from them and was on her way. He could finally spend some alone time with his wife. Perhaps it was because Shi Shang fed Dong Yu very well, but there was no movement from the glazed demon. They had been to all the places in the undead world, seen the mountains and rivers, and also watched the sunrise and sunset. Dong Yu was shameless and Shi Shang was desperate. He wanted to kiss her when he ate, and he also wanted to kiss her when he slept. Fortunately, he didn't seem to be interested in further actions. His memory hadn't recovered, and he didn't even have any impression of it. Shi Shang had tried to probe him several times, but he was still at a loss. Even if she took him to do the things he had done before, he just felt that it was fun, and there was no miracle of him recovering his memory. Shi Shang wondered if he should scare him. But after the previous few times, he really didn't want to scare him deliberately. Wife, come. Dong Yu stood on a high place and reached out to Shi Shang below. Shi Shang stepped on a stone and put it on his hand. He gently pushed and climbed to the highest place. Smoke rose in spirals in the distance, and the first rays of the morning sun were rising in the distance, gradually dyeing the clouds red, like a burning flame, dreamy and illusory. Dong Yu hugged Shi Shang from behind, put his chin on her shoulder, and pressed his lips against her ear, watching the sunrise with her. When the first ray of sunlight penetrated the clouds and fell on the foggy ground, the golden halo covered the ground with a layer of gauze as thin as a cicada's wing, beautiful and stunning. Wife, I may. Dong Yu's voice sounded with more and more sunlight. I can't hold on any longer. Shi Shang's body stiffened. Recently, Dong Yu needed less soul fire, and he could no longer absorb as much as he wanted. This wasn't a good sign. But now Dong Yu told her personally. It's okay. Shi Shang's eyes shone brightly. We'll have a chance to meet again. Yes, I'll be with you in my next life. Because it was almost time, Shi Shang found a place to stay, and he only needed to go out and bring back a small amount of soul fire every day. Dong Yu's appetite was getting worse and worse, but fortunately, he was still in good spirits. Wifey, if it comes out, you have to kill it. Dong Yu grabbed Shi Shang's hand, his expression calm. There wasn't a hint of fear on his face. With her by his side, he didn't need to be afraid. Chapter 1567. Okay. Shi Shang nodded and continued to decorate the stone room. Her iron sword clanged to the side, knocking down the extra stones. What could it do? Of course, it could choose to forgive her. Dong Yu walked around Shi Shang and did not help him. He was a young master. The iron sword was angry and hit harder. It was so pretentious to be spoiled. Humph. It wanted to be a practical sword, not a vase. Actually, it also wanted to be a vase. This stone room would be where they would sleep in the future. Shi Shang set up all kinds of magic arrays that the original owner had learned. He also set up other arrays so that no one would disturb them. Even if things changed with the passage of time and someone discovered it a few thousand years later, this place would self-destruct because someone set foot in it. Wife, I'm a little hungry. Dong Yu suddenly squatted down. Shi Shang threw away the things in his hands. I'll go out and do it for you. Stay here. Okay. Dong Yu watched Shi Shang go out. After making sure that she was far away, he immediately walked to the iron sword that was still hitting the stones. Can you help me? He knew that this sword could understand human language. The iron sword stopped and made a buzzing sound. What was it asking him to do? Dong Yu held it and walked to the middle of the stone room. He started to draw something on the ground. An ordinary person could not even cut wood with the iron sword, let alone carve something. That was why Dong Yu asked it to help. The iron sword drew lines on the ground. He drew seriously, as if he was doing something sacred. After a short while, Dong Yu heard some noise outside. He immediately let go of the iron sword. Don't tell her, okay? The iron sword continued buzzing. I don't even know what you're drawing. I'll tell my master when you're done. Humph. Of course, Dong Yu did not know what the iron sword meant. He just took it as a yes. He put his hand on the ground and the intertwining lines disappeared immediately. In the following days, Dong Yu sent the Shi Shang away every day and used the iron sword to draw on the ground. As more and more lines were drawn, the iron sword could vaguely make out what they were. On this day, Dong Yu sent away the Shi Shang and continued to draw on the ground. Cough, 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 cough. Not long after, he suddenly coughed, and the iron sword fell from his hand to the ground with a clang. The iron sword rose from the ground and circled around him. Are you all right? Master, come back. Shi Shang was not far away. When he heard the iron sword calling him, he immediately rushed back to the stone room. Dong Yu stood in the stone room with the iron sword floating beside him. Everything seemed normal. What happened? Shi Shang looked at the iron sword. Buzz. The iron sword did not listen to Dong Yu at all and directly told Shi Shang what had just happened. Dong Yu stood aside, feeling wronged. He did not know what the iron sword was talking about, but he knew that the iron sword must have told her what had just happened. Shi Shang's face darkened. He reached out and pulled Dong Yu over. Why didn't you tell me that you were feeling uncomfortable? Today is the first time. This had never happened before. Today was indeed the first time something like this had happened. Don't hide your discomfort. I want to know any changes in your body. Do you understand? Dong Yu hesitated and nodded slightly. After that, Shi Shang watched Dong Yu even more closely. Sometimes, he would bring him along when he went out to look for soul fire. Dong Yu wanted to finish his own business, so he had to squeeze in time. Shi Shang decorated the stone room more and more. Although there were not many things inside, it looked warm and not cold at all. Dong Yu liked this place very much. This was their home. It took Dong Yu a long time to prepare everything. Then, one afternoon, he blindfolded Shi Shang and brought him into the stone room. What are you doing? Why are you being so mysterious? Shi Shang complained as he followed him forward. Dong Yu asked Shi Shang to stand at the edge. A beam of light condensed on his fingertip and fell to the ground. The ground, which was originally empty, suddenly lit up. A vivid picture appeared. Dong Yu let go of Shi Shang. Shi Shang looked down and saw two figures leaning against each other on the ground. The woman pursed her lips and smiled. The man looked down at her. His eyes were full of tenderness. Behind them was a boundless sea of flowers. Shi Sheng blinked. The picture flashed and changed to another picture. The picture was exquisite and real. It was like looking at a high-definition photo. There were 25 pictures in total. From the time they first met to the time they walked through the mountains and rivers, it was exactly one picture a year. You made this. Do you like it? Yes. It will not disappear in the future. It will accompany us in our eternal sleep. Just like how I accompany you. Shi Sheng turned around and hugged Dong Yu. Don't be afraid. I'm not afraid. I just feel that we have too little time. He had not spent the rest of his life with her, but they had already reached the end. Shi Sheng hugged him and said in a low voice, "We still have time. Trust me." Their future was not here. It was in a more distant time and space. That was their future. And now, she was paving the way for their future. Yes. Dong Yu hugged Shi Sheng tightly. He believed in her. In the few days before the deadline, Dong Yu could barely get out of bed. He was tortured every day. The glazed demon tried to rush out of his body and deprive him of the vitality it gave him. Wife, do it. Dong Yu looked at the woman opposite him with a pale face. Shi Sheng pursed her lips and bent over to plant a kiss on his lips. We'll meet soon. Dong Yu smiled. I'll wait for you, Xiao Sheng. Shi Sheng's eyes flashed. Under Dong Yu's gaze, she walked away step by step. She chanted a spell in a low voice. With Dong Yu as the center, she built layers of light walls. Dong Yu's figure was blocked by the light walls and gradually disappeared from Shi Sheng's sight. She remained calm from the beginning to the end. There was no need to be afraid. There was no need to be sad. There was no need to say goodbye, because they would meet again soon. Chu Yunling walked in the dense forest with the undead puppet behind her. The surroundings were very quiet, and there was only the rustling of the plants as they walked. The undead puppet suddenly stopped and looked in a direction. Chu Yunling walked for a distance and found that the undead puppet did not follow, so she turned back. What's wrong? The undead puppet stared in that direction. Chu Yunling looked over strangely, and she began to feel a little uneasy, as if something was about to happen. At this moment, a few rays of light flew over from afar and landed on the undead puppet's body at an extremely fast speed. One of them landed on Chu Yunling's body so fast that Chu Yunling did not even have time to react. A gust of wind blew past and lifted the undead puppet's black robe. Chu Yunling saw that his body was constantly growing flesh and blood, wrapping around the white skeleton. The moment the black robe fell, he had already become a person of flesh and blood. The undead puppet knelt down on one knee in front of Chu Yunling. Master! Chu Yunling's eyes welled up, and the uneasiness in her heart expanded infinitely. Sister, left, right? Yes. Chu Yunling squatted down, hugged her knees, and cried. Her voice passed through the forest and spread into the distance. It was heartbreaking. After a long while, she raised her head and reached out to hug the undead puppet close to her. She hugged his neck just like when she was young. It's just us from now on. I will protect you, Master. Asterisk the 45th plane had ended. There were no more surprises, so there was no need to think about it. The turning point was when the original owner took over the most popular manga adaptation. This was a male genre xuanhuan novel, the kind that sold the IP and was extremely popular. The original owner only drew original works. All her stories and plots were conceived by herself. Occasionally, he would draw illustrations or book covers, but he had never drawn anything else. Therefore, when others approached her, she rejected them without even thinking about it. But later on, she found out that the author of this novel was her senior in university. That senior was very talented and the original owner admired him when she was in school. Therefore, after knowing that he was the author, the original owner considered it and accepted it under the company's persuasion. However, this matter was like a wild horse that went out of control, developing in a direction that was completely out of control. Just as she and her senior had figured out the basic character designs and were about to release them, an artist had released them first. He had even released the character designs that she hadn't had the time to draw. The style was exactly the same as hers. Someone released the character designs first. This made the senior and the editor a little hesitant. Was this plagiarism? No matter where, plagiarism was a big black mark. The original owner explained to the editor that she didn't plagiarize anyone. She had drawn it herself. Moreover, she had communicated with the senior and the chat records could prove it. The editor had been the original owner's editor for many years, so he still believed in her. Before both sides could explain clearly, this matter was exposed on the internet. Some people who didn't like the original owner started to stir up trouble. When a famous person had a blemish, countless people would jump out and magnify this blemish. They wanted to trample the person into the mud and never rise again. The original owner tried to explain, but her explanation was a little weak. This was because the artist who published it first had already said that he would officially cooperate with the author, and the author had also responded. The original owner hadn't signed a contract with the company yet. She had only drawn a draft. After the draft passed, she would sign a formal contract. This was because the company would protect her and she didn't have to worry about strange things happening. But now the contract had been signed by someone else and she had a reputation for plagiarism. Of course, this wasn't enough for the original owner to commit suicide. Her work was there and she had a lot of fans. The internet would say that after a while, it would disappear. If the original owner didn't accept the adaptation of the novel, she would start to update her own comic. It was an ancient-style Xuanhuan romance novel called The Devil General. However, just as this matter was about to die down, the artist started to serialize The Devil General. He said that he had finished it but hadn't published it yet. Apart from a few small differences, it was almost the same as hers. The original owner's The Devil General had only been shown to the editor. She had only drawn 2 chapters and the editor had thought highly of it. But now the artist had increased it to 10 chapters. Although she hadn't drawn it yet, she had already written the entire script. The story that the artist updated was exactly the same as her script. The editor who had believed in the original owner also began to doubt it. She had only seen 2 chapters of The Devil General, and it wasn't the final draft. Now that the other party had said that the work had been finished, it wasn't unreasonable for the editor to doubt the original owner. Could you say that a finished work had plagiarized a work that had just started? No. The original owner didn't know what had happened. Faced with the questions of her friend's editor, she could only defend herself. But if she had evidence, what evidence did she have? The company didn't know what had happened and suddenly wanted to terminate her contract. They also wanted her to pay a penalty for plagiarizing someone else's work. Although the editor wanted to speak up for her, the words of a lowly person didn't have much effect. After a while, the original owner kept investigating the artist, but she found that the artist was very mysterious. He never posted anything related to his life and never showed his face. The things that could be found were all related to the work. She couldn't find the artist and the artist was becoming more and more popular. The original owner was filled with despair. She didn't know why this was happening. She wanted to continue writing, but she found that after experiencing all this, her inspiration had dried up. She didn't even know what to draw. I'm not familiar with the comic world, so the things I wrote were all made up. Don't take it seriously. Don't take it seriously. Don't take it seriously. Shi Shang is a bad artist. Ha 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 ha. Look at the soul artist Shang coming online. Chapter 1569. Unable to draw anymore, the host had been depressed for a long time. That was why she committed suicide. It was quite strange for the host to be in her shoes. A person who couldn't find anything suddenly started to serialize her own work. It was as if there was another soul living in her head. But from Shi Shang's perspective, it wasn't strange at all. Someone had transmigrated or been reborn. Using the prophet to publish the manga or novel one had read to seek opportunities. This was a very common plot in novels. Of course, This kind of protagonist had to have a certain foundation. Without a foundation, even if you drew according to it, you might not be able to draw it. Since you had a foundation, why use someone else's work? This problem was very simple. Because the protagonist knew that the work would be popular, she could make a name for herself in the shortest time possible. She didn't need to spend a long time to figure out her own work and bear the consequences if it didn't become popular. With such a convenient golden finger, why not use it? Of course, this kind of setting was usually used in two different worlds. Because in another world, she could happily plagiarize her work. Anyway, no one would care about the copyright. The host's last wish was to serve her parents well and find the person who had caused her to end up like this. She also wanted to draw an empire. The first one was easy to deal with. The second one was Shi Shang, but he felt helpless. She was terrible at drawing. She was good at drawing talismans and arrays, but she really didn't know how to draw a romantic person. Arrays were also very complicated things. It was reasonable to say that people who knew how to draw arrays weren't bad at drawing. But Shi Shang was a weirdo. She just didn't know how to draw. What could she do? She was also very desperate. I'm so hungry. Let's eat first. Shi Shang walked around the house in despair. He pulled out a few bowls of instant noodles to fill his stomach. Ever since the host terminated her contract with the company, she didn't have much money left. She didn't dare tell her family, so she basically lived on instant noodles. Fortunately, this house was still the host's, so she didn't have to worry about sleeping on the streets. After eating, Shi Shang went to the study to find the computer. He turned it on and logged in to her social media accounts. As soon as he logged in, the beeping sounds kept coming. Fortunately, the host's job required a lot of computers, so she wasn't stuck. Most of them asked her about the plagiarism. Shi Shang clicked them one by one. In the end, only a dialogue box remained. Tao Su, little Xn, don't worry. I'll keep an eye out for you. Don't stay at home all day. Go out more often to relax. Tao Su, Xiao Xn, why didn't you pick up the phone? Tao Su, I know you're upset, and I'm helpless too. This is the company's decision. Even if I believe you, it's useless. Xiao Xian, don't do anything stupid. I've been with you for so many years, and I know what kind of person you are. I believe in you. This Tao Su was the editor of the original owner. The website that the original host worked on was called Ku Mang. It could be considered the leader of the comics industry. It had many readers and many channels. It produced many classic comics and animations. Shi Shang closed the dialog box and logged into the host's account. Sorry, your account has been frozen. A few words popped up on the page. Shi Shang pulled up Tao Su's dialog box again. Su Xian. Isn't the company a little too much? They even blocked my account? Tao Su, what? It was currently working hours, so Tao Su replied very quickly. Perhaps because she had suddenly received a message from her long-dead artist, Tao Su was a bit out of it. But she soon understood what Shi Shang was talking about. Tao Su, I'm sorry, Xiao Xin. This is the company's decision. Tao Su, Xiao Xin, are you okay? I'll come to see you this weekend. Are you still staying at your old place? Shi Shang didn't reply to Tao Su. Instead, she went to look for the contract. She read it inside and out 3 times before typing. Su Xian, according to the contract, even if the contract is terminated, the company has no right to block my account. Tell the higher-ups to unblock my account. Otherwise, I'll see you in court. Su Xin, I'm fine. Tao Su, Xiao Xin, you. Tao Su paused for a moment. Tao Su, the contract doesn't say anything about blocking your account, but the company said that you breached the contract first. That's why they blocked your account. I'll talk to the higher-ups and see if they can unblock your account. Don't worry. Tao Su wanted to say that the contract had already been terminated, so what was the point of unblocking the account? Su Xian, okay. Shi Shang ignored Tao Su after replying. By the time Shi Shang had a basic understanding of the original owner's work, Tao Su was already dominating the screen. Tao Su, Xiao Xan, have you moved yet? If not, I'll come to see you this weekend. Tao Su, why aren't you saying anything? Tao Su, Xiao Xan, you can tell me if you're upset. Don't keep it to yourself. Tao Su had suspected the original owner before, but after the original owner's explanation, she chose to believe the original owner. After all, she was the original owner's mentor from the start. After so many years, they had some feelings for each other. Shi Shang tapped her fingers on the keyboard. She thought for a moment before typing. Su Xian, I'm fine. I'm not home. You don't have to come over. Tao Su, where are you? Su Xian, relaxing. Tao Su, relaxing is good. Tell me when you come back. I'll come see you. Su Xian, okay. Shi Shang closed Tao Su's chat and was about to go offline to see what she could draw when another message popped up. Number 1 Godly Archer. Su Xiaoxin, you're finally online. I've already bought a plane ticket. I'll be there tonight. You must hold on. Don't wait for me to arrive with a corpse. I won't collect your corpse. Who is this? Shi Shang stared at the name for a while before she pulled out a person from the original owner's memory. The original owner's high school classmate, male best friend, childhood friend and neighbor, Hao Baobao. Well, this was a nickname. His full name was Hao Sheng. Hao Baobao's family and the original owner's family were family friends. The two families lived in the same community, so Hao Baobao and the original owner went to the same school from kindergarten to university. They were childhood sweethearts. Everyone thought they would be together. But the two were too familiar with each other. They were so familiar that they couldn't bear to touch each other. As soon as Hao Baobao graduated, she said she wanted to pursue freedom and abandoned the original owner to go abroad. After Hao Baobao went abroad, the two only contacted each other occasionally on the phone and chatted online. After the original owner's accident, she didn't go online much. Hao Baobao found out that her childhood sweetheart had been dead for a long time. Later, she found out that something had happened. She immediately bought a plane ticket back home and even gave up her freedom. Number 1 Godly Archer. Su Xiaoxin. If you don't say anything, I'll call the police. Su Xian, Ji. Number 1 Godly Archer. Number 1 Godly Archer. Pick me up at the airport. I'll be there at midnight. I don't care if you're sad or not. If I can't see you, I'll go crash the plane. Su Xian, then go. Crazy. Asterisk hashtag begging for Jean G. Er's votes today. Hashtag lalalala begging for votes. Votes, votes, votes. Chapter 1570. Number 1 Sharpshooter. Su Xiaoxin. Pull yourself together, I'm back now, aren't I? Which little wench bullied you? I'll destroy her. Su Xian. I'm pulling myself together. Number 1 Godly Archer. Bullsh asterisk T. You've never spoken to me like that. Are you crazy? Shi Shang was silent. How did the original owner talk to Hao Baobao? Shi Shang scrolled up the chat history. The original owner was simply a roasting expert in front of Hao Baobao. All kinds of things that she couldn't say to others, she could say to Hao Baobao. Su Xian. I think I'm possessed, are you scared? Number 1 Sharpshooter. Su Xiaoxin, wake up don't talk nonsense, I'm a little scared. Number 1 Sharpshooter. Su Xiaoxin, you're the best. Shi Shang chuckled. This little sweetheart didn't have any romantic feelings for the original owner, but he was definitely a good brother. Number 1 Sharpshooter. I'm on the plane, I have to transfer later, remember to pick me up at the airport. Su Xiaoxin, I want to see you alive, alive. I refuse to accept. Su Xian, poor. Number 1 Sharpshooter. Your savings are already 7 figures. What are you poor for? Su Xian. I paid the penalty. Number 1 Sharpshooter. Are you stupid? How Bao Bao didn't say anything else after yelling this sentence. A few minutes later, Shi Shang heard the sound of a text message. She searched the living room for a long time before she found her phone in the pile of books that she had hung herself with. There were many messages that the original owner hadn't seen. The latest one was a transfer message. How Bao Bao sent her 10,000 yuan. Number 1 sharpshooter. Spend it first. Wait for me to come back. Shi Shang saw that it was still early, so she clicked on the artist that made the original owner like this. The artist's pen name was Black Cloud. The number of fans behind the author's name was already very impressive. The serialized Demon General had already been updated to 50 chapters in a short time. Maintaining the rhythm of 1 chapter a day, it was very believable that he had already finished the work. According to the script, if Dark Cloud was the main character, then this Demon General would definitely become popular, and very popular. Shi Shang flipped through the script of the original owner, the Devil General. The plot was excellent. The main plot and side plot were designed to be intertwined. Coupled with the most popular elements of romance nowadays, it was a surefire way to attract fans. The crux of the matter was that although the Infernal General had the title of MMA, from the beginning to the end, the top and bottom were always in that kind of hazy love. He had not broken through that layer of window paper. Even if he changed anime or television series in the future, he could definitely use it directly. Dark Cloud had a Weibo account, but it was not bound to any account. It was like a zombie account. Shi Shang skillfully checked the IP address and found that it was just an internet cafe. The time when he logged in was the time when he posted his last Weibo post. What was even more depressing was that there were no surveillance cameras in the internet cafe. He couldn't even see who it was. The only good news was that this internet cafe was in the same city as her, and Dark Cloud was also from the same city. As for the account that was used to update Ku Man, they found that it belonged to Ku Man Company. It was posted on behalf of the editor. Shi Shang continued to hack into the editor's computer and finally found traces of Dark Cloud. Shi Shang confirmed the location and waited for her to find an opportunity to find out who this Dark Cloud was. As for the novel that ignited the fire, it had already started serialization. It just so happened that there was a new chapter. Ever since it was confirmed that Dark Cloud was the main author, the senior author did not speak to the original owner again. He was probably shocked in his heart and believed that the original owner had plagiarized. Dark Cloud. She was afraid that in the future, there would really be dark clouds. There would be no sunny days. Tisk. The game started. What kind of game is this? Shi Shang closed the web page and took out a piece of white paper from the original owner's desk. He held a pen and prepared to use the original owner's memory to see if he could create a big character. The pencil drew across the white paper, and one line after another appeared. When the entire character appeared on the paper, Shi Shang sighed. The character had a form, but there was no spiritual energy at all. It was like a rigid dead object. This was done only by relying on the muscle memory of the original owner. If this kind of work was taken out, it would be beaten to death. Shi Shang drew a formation on the side. Compared to the rigid character, the formation was a completely different style. Hua Zhaxing did not want to talk. She threw the pen away, got up, and walked to the window. The orange light enveloped her. It was almost dusk. There were people walking dogs in the neighborhood. The dogs were playing with the children, and the adults were watching with smiles. It was a very happy and warm scene. Shi Shang stood for a while, then turned to change his clothes and prepare to go out to look for food. After dinner, she walked around the streets and took a taxi to the airport. The timing was just right. She had just walked into the airport when a call from How Bao Bao came in. There were some loud voices on the other side of the phone, and the background music was noisy. Where are you? The exit. Why don't I see you? Are you invisible? The main exit. How Bao Bao cursed. Is this how you pick someone up at the airport? How Bao Bao hung up the phone. Shi Shang stood at the exit for a while. Soon, he saw a man in colorful clothes and sunglasses dragging a suitcase. He was sprinting from the crowd at a speed of 100 meters. The crowd looked at this weirdo as if he was in a hurry to be reincarnated. When Hao Baobao came in front of Shi Shang, a gust of wind with the scent of someone's perfume hit him in the face. Hao Baobao was 1.8 meters tall, handsome, and fit the image of a next-door brother. Hao Baobao stopped in front of Shi Shang. Shi Shang was already prepared to reject the hug, but Hao Baobao didn't rush up to her. Instead, she sized her up a few times, as if to make sure she was still alive. Su Xiaoxin, your face is enough to compete for the worst face in history. Hao Baobao looked at her and said, I'm so poor that I can only eat instant noodles. Shi Shang spread his hands helplessly. Hao Baobao's mouth twitched. He took off his sunglasses and hung them in front of his chest. Let's go, I'll treat you to a big meal. I just ate. I haven't eaten yet. Hao Baobao glared. I came all the way here to treat you to a meal and you're still not willing. Su Xiaoxin, are you itching for a beating? Shi Shang. I think you're the one who's itching for a beating. In the end, Hao Baobao only ate a bowl of noodles. It was late at night, and all the restaurants in the city were 24-hour fast food restaurants. Hao Baobao had to move the feast to tomorrow. Shi Shang sent Hao Baobao to the hotel, and Hao Baobao's mouth never stopped. Where did the little bitch who said you plagiarized come from? Hao Baobao probably noticed that Shi Shang's expression was not as bad as he thought, so he cut to the chase. He didn't say I plagiarized, he just posted it before me. Shi Shang briefly explained the matter to Hao Baobao, and remained calm from beginning to end. Hao Baobao's attention was half on Shi Shang's expression, and half on the matter. When Shi Shang finished, his first sentence was, Su Xiaoxin, are you okay? Shi Shang. You're the one who's wrong. Chapter 1571. Don't hit me, don't hit me. Hao Baobao hugged the pillow and hid to one side, and said righteously, Your behavior today is different from your usual, what's wrong with me suspecting that you're sick? Shi Shang. There seems to be nothing wrong. Shi Shang threw away the pillow in his hand. I'm a person who has been through a lot, how can I still be the same as before? Su Xian this person. She was a proud person since childhood, and when she was in school, she was also a famous talented girl. Because of the manga, she had a conflict with her family, but she was unwilling to bow down, as if admitting defeat first was agreeing with what her parents said. There was an unwillingness to admit defeat in her bones. She wanted her parents to see that comics weren't as useless as they seemed. Unfortunately, something like this happened, she could not defend herself. For such a long time, she didn't even have someone to talk to. When a proud person is hit, and without the right guidance, when the heart is weak, it will collapse faster than an already weak person. Su Xian is such a person. Su Xian is also a bit of a clean freak, which is why Hao Baobao never touched her from beginning to end. It's not that he doesn't care enough, but because he remembers all her habits. Hao Baobao rolled his eyes. I say, why didn't you tell me such a big thing? His little green plum was bullied like this, uncle can tolerate it, but Hao Baobao can't. I tried to contact you, but couldn't get in touch. Shi Shang sat on the bed. The original owner did contact Hao Baobao, but Hao Baobao seemed to have disappeared during that time. Whether online or on the phone, he couldn't be contacted. What happened later made the original owner have no energy to contact him, and no time to go online. Hao Baobao's expression changed slightly, only to remember that his mobile phone and wallet were stolen during that time, and he was in a very remote place. Okay, I'll help you investigate this matter. That Wu Yun. Damn, he dares to bully you, I'll kill him. Although Hao Baobao grew up in a scholarly family, he did not inherit the traditional virtues of his parents. He began to go astray in junior high school, fighting, smoking and drinking, and was proficient in everything. If it weren't for the fact that he went abroad after college, he would definitely be a tyrant. Because of this matter, the Hao parents were furious, and often joined forces with the Su parents to scold the two good-for-nothing brats. Su Xiaoxin, I'm sorry. Hao Baobao sincerely apologized. Why are you apologizing to me? Shi Shang was shocked. I wasn't by your side when such a big thing happened. Hao Baobao started to stir up emotions. When I found out about this, I called you, but you didn't pick up. At that time, I was really afraid that something would happen to you. I almost called Uncle and Auntie, but I found that you were online. How Bao Bao only knew that she had been scolded for plagiarism on the internet. She had no idea that the Demon General was involved. When he saw her at the airport, although he thought she was a bit strange, it was better than coming back to see a half-dead person. Even if she was crazy, she was still his Su Xiaoxin. Shi Sheng glanced at him. It's a pity that your childhood sweetheart is dead. Humans were very fragile creatures. If they couldn't cross the turning point, they could only walk towards destruction. But why was he able to publish the manuscript before you? How Bao Bao rubbed his chin and instantly entered Sherlock Holmes mode. Don't tell me there's a camera in your house? No, I have to go and take a look tomorrow. Everything about this matter was strange. Shi Sheng, although she had already found out where Dark Cloud lived and guessed why Dark Cloud was able to publish the manuscript before her, how Bao Bao was not Feng Ci. He would most likely not believe what she said and would even think that she was crazy. Looking at what he said before, he already suspected that she was crazy. How Bao Bao was afraid that it was not safe for Shi Sheng to go back alone, so he simply booked a room for her and let her stay next door so that they could go back together tomorrow. The next day, How Bao Bao asked Shi Sheng to take him home to take a look. The house was still the same. The pile of books was piled up under the crystal lamp in the living room, and there was still half a rope hanging from the crystal lamp. How Bao Bao? Shi Sheng calmly pulled the rope off and threw it aside, lying through his teeth. The lamp is broken. I found someone to fix it. Maybe they left it behind. How Bao Bao breathed a sigh of relief. That's not right. Why would the person who fixed the lamp use a rope? I don't know. You can ask him. This was the highest level of pretending to be stupid. How Bao Bao looked at the crystal lamp, then at Shi Sheng, and shook off the strange thought in his mind. He carefully checked the house, but found nothing. Where's your computer? Did it get hacked? How Bao Bao asked again. Study. How Bao Bao went into the study and came out after a while. There's nothing unusual. Don't use that for the time being. I'll buy you a new one. How Bao Bao did as he said and hurriedly went out to get a new computer. He fiddled with the computer for a while before he was done. Let's go and have a big meal. After doing all this, How Bao Bao remembered that the big meal last night had not started yet. He immediately asked Shi Sheng to go out. Look at how thin you are. You need to eat more. Otherwise, how can you get married? You don't have to worry about that. You should think about how to find a wife. I'm a golden bachelor. If I want to find a wife, won't there be a line for me to pick? How Bao Bao puffed out his chest. Are you jealous? Shi Sheng. You're crazy. When they went out for a big meal, How Bao Bao's mouth did not stop. He talked about Dark Cloud to her recent situation, and then from her recent situation to Dark Cloud, and finally circled back to the topic he wanted to talk about the most. What are you going to do now? You're not going to draw anymore? Why not? How Bao Bao glanced at him. His meaning was obvious. After such a big thing happened, anyone would be hit hard, and may even be unable to recover from it. Then I'm relieved. I'm afraid you'll be too stubborn. People in the art industry are usually unable to get up from one thing. How Bao Bao coughed. Don't worry, I'll hire a water army on the internet. No need. Why? Do you want those people on the internet to scold you? It's not like I'll lose a piece of meat. Let them scold me. A strange look flashed across How Bao Bao's eyes. Su Xiaoxin, are you really not sick? This was completely inconsistent with Su Xiaoxin's character. According to the Su Xiaoxin he was familiar with, at this time she was either hiding or making a fuss about killing Dark Cloud. But from the airport until now, he did not see any inclination towards these two aspects from her. From beginning to end, she maintained a calm demeanor. There was even something he couldn't explain on her body. I'm not sick. Are you sure? We're not short of money. Why don't we go to the hospital? Keep it for yourself. Damn retard. He didn't understand how Bao Bao's brain circuit. Why was his first reaction when he discovered that her personality was different was that she was sick? What kind of sickness is there? She was very normal. Asterisk, this is a fake group. Shishang, where did the nickname Su Xiaoxin come from? How Bao Bao, when you were a child you were very stupid. Everything you did was stupid. You could even fall when you walked, so I called you Su Xiaoxin. Shishang draws his sword. How Bao Bao, what are you doing? Feng Ci, how can you call me that? How Bao Bao, who are you? Chapter 1572. How Bao Bao was certain that his childhood sweetheart was sick, so he looked at Shishang strangely. When they passed by the hospital, he couldn't wait to drag her in for a full body checkup. Shishang finally sent him away with the excuse of investigating Dark Cloud. How Bao Bao didn't know who she had hooked up with, but she quickly came to Shishang with a few photos. Here, this is Dark Cloud. It's a girl. How Bao Bao took the photo and showed it to Shishang. You wouldn't know that her real name is Dark Cloud. Shishang took the photo and looked at it. It was a girl who was a little fat. She was at least twice the size of Shishang. Very good. She matched the characteristics of the female lead. How Bao Bao leaned against Shishang. What you wouldn't know is that she was in the same school as us. She was in the same class as you. In the same class? Shishang compared the photo with her classmates in the host's memory. He really couldn't remember such a person. She got up and flipped through the host's graduation photo. She found Dark Cloud in the corner of the photo. Dark Cloud wasn't as fat as she looked in the graduation photo, but she didn't dress as well as she did now. She looked like a village girl. The host had no impression of this person at all. Of course, after the second year, the host was busy with her own things. She basically didn't leave the dormitory except for classes. She couldn't remember most of the people in the class, so it wasn't strange that she didn't remember Dark Cloud. Do you remember her? How Bao Bao asked. Shishang shook his head and put the graduation photo back. I'll find a few brothers and tie her up. We'll know what's going on. Hooligan Bao Bao was online. Hooligan number 2 Shang nodded in agreement. Good idea. How Bao Bao immediately took out her phone and called someone to tie her up. Let's go. The two hooligans headed towards Dark Cloud's house. But when they arrived, they saw a few hooligans squatting in front of Dark Cloud's house playing cards. They looked like they had nothing to do. Where is she? How Bao Bao stepped on an unknown metal bucket behind them and looked down at the 4 people who were playing cards. Oh, Brother Bao, you're here? The lackeys immediately put away the cards and hurriedly bowed and explained, There's no one at home. That woman hasn't come back yet. We've been keeping an eye on her. What time is it? Why isn't he back yet? That's right, that's right. Could it be that you guys didn't see it because you were playing cards? Brother Bao, we're professional spies. Even if we're playing cards, we can still monitor the surroundings. We definitely won't miss anything. Why didn't you see me just now? While How Bao Bao was chatting with the hooligans, Shishang was looking around. They were in an old residential area. They were now in a gap between 2 buildings, and they could see a staircase going upstairs. Where does Dark Cloud live? How Bao Bao stopped hitting Shishang and said, I'm asking you a question. Where do you live? It's on the 3rd floor, room 303. One of the hooligans pointed at the 3rd floor opposite them in fear. Shishang walked upstairs. Hey, Su Xiaoxin, where are you going? How Bao Bao quickly caught up with Shishang. The hooligans behind her covered their faces and cried bitterly. Why is Brother Bao still so cruel? Shishang went upstairs and found room 303. Although the house was a bit old, it still had an anti-theft lock. Shishang looked at the window next to him. It was open, and there were a few potted plants on it. Shishang rolled up his sleeves and was about to climb over. Su Xiaoxin, what are you doing? How Bao Bao pulled Shi Shang from behind and quickly let go of him. Don't you think it's dirty? Shi Shang. The original owner was the one with mysophobia, not her. How Bao Bao looked at her as if she was crazy. You've recovered from your mysophobia? I've recovered. How Bao Bao? She's seriously sick. I must take her to the hospital. How Bao Bao quickly unlocked the door and tilted her head at Shi Shang. Come in. Shi Shang. This kind of childhood friend is really great. The room was a bit dark. It was a one-bedroom house. It was very small, but it was clean and tidy. It also had a bit of a humble dwelling. There was a treadmill in the corner of the living room, and various weight loss methods hung on the wall. Shi Shang's eyes swept over these things, and finally landed on the coffee table in the living room. There was nothing else on the coffee table, only an old computer and a lot of paper with various character designs. The first thing that Shi Shang saw was a bound book of The Devil General, all of which were manuscripts. Although computers were popular now, some people still liked to draw by hand. The Devil General was finished, and there was a book of manga next to it. Shi Shang glanced at it. It was a school-type manga. The plot was good, but the style was obviously different from The Devil General. Who are you? A rather pleasant voice sounded from the door. What are you doing in my house? Shi Shang looked up and saw a rather spectacular figure standing at the door. His chubby face was full of vigilance, with a ponytail, sweat beads on his forehead, and a lot of vegetables and fruits in his hands. Su Xian? Hao Shang? What were these two people doing here? Dark Clouds was confused. In her memory, these two people were the most popular people in school. Her original wish was to become a goddess like Su Xian one day. Unfortunately, she couldn't control her mouth, and her body grew all the way to her current size. Dark Clouds was afraid that people would see that she wasn't the original Dark Clouds, so she tried to imitate Dark Cloud's personality and put on a timid face. What are you doing in my house? Shi Shang waved the manuscript of The Devil General in his hand. I'm here to see who plagiarized my work. Dark Clouds saw the cover in his hand. The two words, The Devil General, were very eye-catching. Plagiarized? Her work? What the hell was this? When did I plagiarize your work? Su Xian, what are you talking about? We haven't seen each other after graduation, and you don't even remember who I am, right? If not, why are you in my house? Now I remember. I have a deep impression of you. Shi Shang threw the manuscript back on the coffee table. Dark Clouds couldn't help but be attracted by the manuscript again. She wasn't from this world, and that work was a very popular manga she had read in her previous world. After she was reborn into Dark Cloud's body, she searched the internet, but there was no such work as The Devil General. Dark Clouds looked at Shi Shang again. Things that appeared in her previous world would also appear in this world, such as the novel she had accepted before. She needed money to change her current situation. She used to be a painter, and the original Dark Cloud's major was also this. She didn't know how to invest in stocks or start a business. This was the best way she could think of to make money. The Devil General wasn't drawn by her. Could it be? Dark Clouds calmed herself down. You said I plagiarized your work? What evidence do you have? Asterisk la la la, please vote, 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 vote. Chapter 1573. The girl sat on the shabby sofa, abruptly making the sofa look like a throne. Her lips curved into a smile, but the smile did not reach her eyes, and for some reason, there was a sense of gloom. She asked, Do you know why Zhou Chunzi killed the 13 demon guards? Of course I know my work, because the 13 demon guards were in his way, they were his biggest obstacle. Although The Devil General was not her work, she liked The Devil General very much and had watched it many times. Is that so? Shi Shang sneered. The Devil General you've seen shouldn't have any new chapters, right? Wu Yun's heart skipped a beat, looking at Shi Shang with a strange expression. The words she just used, She had seen it before. Was it a coincidence? I don't care what you're here for. You trespassed into my house and said so many inexplicable things. If you don't leave, I'll call the police. Wu Yun yelled, no longer bothering to pretend to be a timid and cowardly person. Oh, angry out of humiliation. Hao Baobao was surprised. I'm curious, how did you plagiarize my Su Xiaoxin's work? Aren't you going to tell us? I'll say it again, I didn't plagiarize. Wu Yun's face darkened. If you have evidence, take it out. If not, please leave. No matter whose work the devil general of this world was, she could not admit it now. Besides the script, Shisheng really couldn't take out anything else. The original devil general had just started. Even if this matter went to court, it was estimated that Wu Yun, who had the finished script, would win in the end. Why don't we tie her up and interrogate her? Hao Baobao suggested. You? Wu Yun's face changed. How could such a good-looking man be such a person? Shisheng stood up from the sofa. It was impossible to kill her. This was a society ruled by law, and she was most likely the female lead, but beating her up was still okay. Shisheng pinched his fingers, smiling darkly at Wu Yun. Wu Yun was frightened by Shisheng's gaze. What do you want to do? My hands are itchy. Wu Yun. Soon Wu Yun knew what itchy hands meant. She was beaten up. Although she had a lot of meat on her body, it still hurt to be beaten up like this. Do you have any respect for the law? Black Cloud lay on the ground and yelled at the Shisheng who had already walked to the door. Why were the people in this world so crazy? There weren't many changes between this world and her world. She even saw people who looked exactly the same as her world, but their personalities were worlds apart. Law. Shisheng turned around and looked at Wu Yun. It's because of the law that you can breathe now. Dark Cloud. Can't he breathe without the law? Was he trying to kill her? A chill ran down Dark Cloud's spine as cold sweat crept up his spine. Shisheng narrowed his eyes and smiled. Do you think that you can casually plagiarize other people's works just because you're in another world? I advise you to stop updating your demon generals, or else I will let you have a good taste of the law. Dark Cloud's pupils shrank as he stared at Shisheng's back. Outside the door, Hao Baobao had a "my little green plum is seriously ill and needs treatment" expression on her face. She was already capable of beating people up, so she must be seriously ill. So Hao Baobao was even more careful, for fear that she would provoke Shisheng and cause her to have a relapse. Shisheng was helpless. She said she wasn't sick, but this brat didn't believe her. Su Xiaoxin, what should we do about Wu Yun? Just beat her up? Nothing has been solved yet. What else? That's the protagonist. What can you do to the protagonist? I don't have enough evidence, otherwise I would have already sued her. TSK, find a chance to beat her up again. Hao Baobao. It's over. What's wrong with my little green plum? Why did she become so violent? What kind of unspeakable story happened while he was abroad? You don't have to worry about her. Shisheng turned to look at Hao Baobao. Don't you want to go home? Forget it, if I go back, won't those two tie me up? Hao Baobao shook off the non-existent goosebumps. I don't want to be tied up and educated, it's too cruel. He came back this time for his little green plum. He didn't want to go home and be tortured. Shisheng didn't say much. This was Hao Baobao's own business. Bao Ge. Bao Ge, what else do you need? As soon as they went downstairs, the hooligans surrounded them. Disperse. Hao Baobao waved her hand. The hooligans immediately disappeared in front of them. Shisheng sent Hao Baobao away and went home alone. Of course, Hao Baobao didn't want to, but in the end she couldn't win against Shisheng, mainly because she was afraid of provoking her and causing her to have a relapse. Patient Shisheng. She really wasn't sick, really. Back home, Shisheng turned on the computer, first fumbled around with the original owner's drawing props, and then began to let loose. She didn't even know what the hell she was drawing. Looking at the mess of the finished product, Shisheng was very tired. How could she draw an empire like this? Even elementary school teachers could draw better than her. Shang sighed, found a few pieces of art, and prepared to make a copy. His imitation was better than his own, but his expression was too stiff and rigid. Ah! God wants me to die. Shang rubbed his head in frustration, and then nestled in the chair and stared at the computer screen in a daze. Shang's eyes turned slightly, and fell on the bottom right corner. Did she log in to her social media account just now? It seemed like she did. Shang reached out and clicked on the message. Tao Su. Xiao Xian, I've already helped you with the account. It's been unblocked, take a look. Shang opened the Kumong website again and logged into her account. There were nearly 10 works under her name, which were all the original owner's assets. The earliest work, Throne of Honor, was labeled as a classic, and there were no less than 5 works of high quality. Shang looked through the account. There wasn't much in it, but this account should have belonged to the original owner. Shang said a few words to Tao Su, and then continued practicing. As the saying goes, practice makes perfect. She had the original owner's memories, so it might be better if she practiced more. In the following period of time, if Shang wasn't staying at home, she would be dragged out by Hao Baobao to eat a big meal. She claimed it was to nourish her body, but Shang felt like Hao Baobao was just checking if she was sick. Maybe Dark Cloud was frightened by Shang, but it really didn't continue to release the Devil General. As for the reason why it stopped, due to personal reasons, it wouldn't be released for the time being. Shang sneered, and directly hacked into the website, and deleted the Devil General. It was the kind that couldn't be recovered. This is a fake group. Hao Baobao, I think my little green plum is sick. Little fairy, what kind of illness? Hao Baobao, crazy. Little fairy, you'll be beaten. Hao Baobao, she really is sick, I have to take her to see a doctor. Shang, see a doctor? Draws sword, Hao Baobao, hee, I'll see a doctor, calm down, calm down. Little fairy, vote to calm down. System. Take advantage of the situation. Chapter 1574. The Devil General could not be found anymore. Fans started to complain. Why did it disappear? However, Dark Cloud did not know why it disappeared. She did not sign a contract for this work. She was waiting for the royalties. Since she did not sign a contract, it could not have been deleted by the website. Dark Cloud tried to upload again, but no matter how she uploaded, the upload failed. She changed her computer, changed her browser, changed anything. Everything related to the demonized generals on the internet disappeared overnight, as though they had never appeared. If the Devil General was not serialized on the internet, how could it sell without popularity? Nowadays, who didn't look at popularity? Dark Cloud looked at the jumping profile picture and subconsciously clicked on it. However, when she saw the name, she shuddered. She did not add her. Suexin, are you happy? What was happy about? Dark Cloud came to his senses abruptly and quickly typed. I am a Dark Cloud. It's you. Suexin. Smile. JPG, I am a Dark Cloud. You. Dark Cloud looked at the screen and typed after a while. I am a Dark Cloud. How much do you know? Her last sentence proved that she definitely knew, and I am a Dark Cloud. You are not from this world. Suexin. I know what I should know, and I know what I should not know. As for whether I am from this world or not, you can guess. When Dark Cloud saw the last 2 words, the expression on his fat face kept changing. His heart was pounding like a little deer in his chest, unable to stop. She was reborn into this world. This was the first time she was so scared. There were people like her in this world. Well, since she could be reborn into this world, why couldn't others? That Suexin was probably not the original Suexin. Dark Cloud thought for a long time. Just as she was about to type, the dialog box suddenly shrank and disappeared in front of Dark Cloud. She quickly clicked on the list and realized that there was no such person. Dark Cloud, Shi Shang and Dark Cloud finished chatting and continued to draw. It had been a long time since she cultivated her mind and calmed down to do something. She really wanted to kill someone. Drawing was really not suitable for her. So why was the original owner's wish? Could she change the mission, such as conquering the world? In your dreams. Conquering the world was easy for her, but painting was truly difficult. Shi Shang twirled his pen and rested his chin on his hand. He glanced sideways at the computer screen. But face, are you itching for a beating again? I don't have skin. Therefore, it didn't itch. Do you want me to make a layer for you? But face imagined the scene and felt it was too horrible. She was going to skin him alive. No. TSK, you don't know how to appreciate my kindness. Do you know how to write the word, good person? I know, woman. Do you think I'm an illiterate like you? Why aren't you following the routine? F*CK, F*CK, F*CK. Host, please don't attack my body. Thank you, but I'm also a valuable object. Please treat me appropriately. Why doesn't the host just die? Are you cursing me? No, host, you heard wrong. I'll go offline first. After the system said this, it immediately went offline. It didn't want to stay with her for even a minute longer. She scared the system to death. Shi Shang snorted coldly and continued to draw. It was almost dinner time. Shi Shang guessed that Hao Baobao would call her and invite her out for a meal to nourish her body. Who knew that Hao Baobao would come directly to her door? Su Xiaoxin, I have a job for you. Do you want to take it? Hao Baobao asked as soon as she entered the door. What? Take what job? Shi Shang was confused. I have a friend. He said that he has a book to publish, so he wants to draw the cover and illustrations, publicity posters and so on. Didn't you take these jobs before? Hao Baobao finished in one breath. Shi Shang. I can't draw anything now. I'm not taking it. Hey, just give it a try. Hao Baobao persuaded. Look, you don't have much to do now. You can't neglect drawing. Just treat it as a hobby. Don't worry, the pay is still very good. With your current net worth, it's definitely at least 5 figures. My net worth for plagiarism? Hao Baobao's mouth twitched. Please Su Xiaoxin, that's not a big deal. You basically don't see people talking about it anymore. You're a big star in the circle. There are so many die-hard fans. What are you afraid of? The most important thing is that you didn't plagiarize. The original owner didn't choose to commit suicide because of the people on the internet. It was because of the Devil General. Outsiders didn't know about this at all, so of course there wasn't much of a stir on the internet. As for the termination of the contract between the company and the original owner, it was actually quite strange. Even if an author did plagiarize, the company wouldn't necessarily terminate the contract. Instead, they would help clean up the mess. For a big star like the original owner, the company didn't even blink an eye and terminated the contract. 2 words, fuck. They were too biased towards the female lead. In order to prevent the original owner from causing trouble, they might as well get rid of the original owner first and then wait for the female lead to slowly take over. Thinking about it this way, it's easy to understand why the original owner would commit suicide so easily. With the help of the halo, even if she didn't die, she would still die. Su Xiaoxin, it's settled. I'll send you the contact information later. Shi Shang. What did he just say? I didn't hear anything. How could you arbitrarily assume that I agreed? When Hao Baobao came here before, she accidentally saw Shi Shang's practice drafts and felt that there might be something wrong with her little green plum. She started to worry that his little green plum wouldn't be able to draw in the future because of this matter, so she was so anxious. For an artist, if they can't draw, then it's over. Hao Baobao added the contact information to Shi Shang and then dragged him out to eat a big meal. Shi Shang, who eats big meals every day, wants to vomit. Can't you let I eat some vegetables and radishes? Eating meat every day will make me constipated. When are you leaving? Hurry and send this plague away. Leaving? Going where? Hao Baobao bit a piece of meat and asked Shi Shang blankly. Going abroad to wander around the world. Isn't that your wish? Hao Baobao swallowed the meat in one bite. She was good-looking, so she didn't look rude when eating meat. Looks were justice. I've already found a job. I won't be going abroad for the time being. Shi Shang looked at Hao Baobao like he was looking at an alien. Did she hear it wrong? Hao Baobao was actually looking for a job. Why are you looking at me like that? Who the hell am I doing this for? It's all because of you. Hao Baobao pointed at Shi Shang with her chopsticks, as if Shi Shang was a heartless man. If you're like this, how can I feel at ease going abroad? You have to pull yourself together. Shi Shang. When did she look like she wasn't pulling herself together? Hao Baobao put her hands on the table, got up slightly, and closed the distance between her and Shi Shang. Su Xiaoxin, in my heart, you will always be the best. What about confessing? Hao Baobao exploded. Su your head. I'm telling you, Su Xiaoxin, if you don't draw well for I won't go abroad. I'll watch you every day. Shi Shang. You scared me to death. Asterisk hashtag today I'm begging for votes hashtag begging for votes. Votes, votes, votes. Chapter 1575. Shi Shang angrily blacklisted Hao Baobao. He didn't want to see this naughty child anymore. She opened the discussion group and typed quickly. Su Xian. Send me the request. My drawing definitely doesn't meet your requirements. Of course, I still suggest that you hire another artist. Lian Rong. Oh, the boss spoke. I've already sorted out the request. I'll send it to you later. Lian Rong. Teacher, you're the best ancient painting artist in the country. It's like cheating for our club to hire you. Su Xian. You're talking about the former Su Xian. The current Su Xian only knows how to draw horror comics. Trust me, you'll be frightened. Lian Rong quickly sent the request and character design to her. She also told her how much time she had left and asked her to try not to delay the draft. There was always a group of people in the writers and artists circle who would use all kinds of reasons to delay the draft until the editor ran out of patience. Countless editors wanted to send razor blades to this group of people as a sign of respect. Shi Shang looked at the request first. Xuanhuan novels were very long. This Xuanhuan novel named Eternity was no exception. So far, it had been updated to 2 million words. A book was usually around 250,000 words. Now, the publishing house wanted to produce 1 million words, which meant that there were only 4 volumes. Now, they wanted 4 covers, 2 promotional posters, 4 sign posters that came with the book, as well as the main character design to be used as bookmarks. There were also some miscellaneous things. In short, they needed a lot of drawings. Of course, they needed a lot of money. Shi Shang. Hey, you'll die. This book told the story of a young man, from a poor idiot, how he overcame all obstacles, stepped on the retards, and punched the villains to become a great god revered by tens of thousands. Well, this was summed up in Shi Shang's words. The introduction was like this. In the Jojo continent, heroes fight for supremacy. Young Eternity, the Emperor of Eternity. That's it. That's it. Just these 16 words. I'm just asking if you're awesome. Shi Shang continued to look at the character design request. Now that they needed to produce the first 1,000,000 words, the character design would naturally be based on the first 1,000,000 words. The protagonists in the early stage were relatively weak, so the character design was basically not too gorgeous. It described how the protagonists looked like in school, wearing a uniform. Lian Rong even thoughtfully prepared a reference for Shi Shang. Moreover, it was drawn by the original owner. There were also a few other drawings. Anyway, it was the kind of school uniform that had to be worn in a different style from others. Shi Shang was dazzled by the dense list of requirements for the supporting roles. Shi Shang took some time to read the ancient books. Then, he came back and continued to ponder about how to not turn the Xuanhuan wind into a terrifying wind. But I really can't do it. Forget it. Let's play a game. JPG. Anyway, there was still some time before the appointed time. Shi Shang also reminded them to find another painter. She was prepared to pay for the breach of the contract, so she was not nervous at all. Shi Shang continued to draw her horror manga and even found a website to update it. Although Kuman's website was awesome, there were still other websites that were on par with it. For example, the Dragon comics she was looking for now. She only drew short ones for practice, so she didn't need to draw long ones. She didn't know which true fan promoted her on Weibo, but her short ghost stories actually became popular. Just as Shi Shang was happily drawing the horror manga, Yang Huai came to urge Shi Shang again. Yang Huai. Teacher, it's been so many days. Can you show me the draft? Su Xian. I haven't drawn it yet. Yang Huai. Then why haven't you drawn it yet? Su Xian. You haven't drawn it yet. What's the reason? Didn't I tell you to find a new painter? I'm prepared to pay the breach of contract. Yang Huai. It was the first time he met such an honest painter who didn't even look for an excuse. Yang Huai. I'll be honest with you. The author asked you to draw it. We have no choice. Teacher, can you find some time to draw it? Su Xian. Hao Bao Bao, that idiot. Hao Bao Bao, who was still on the blacklist. Shi Shang gave up on her horror manga and started to draw the Eternal Emperor. After pondering for a few days, Shi Shang finally finished the draft and sent it to Yang Huai. After reading it, Yang Huai immediately gave her a lot of suggestions to change it. Su Xian, if you want to change it, do it yourself. I don't have time. Yang Huai. Yang Huai knew that she didn't care about money. Otherwise, she wouldn't have said that she could pay the breach of contract. Yang Huai nagged Shi Shang for a long time. She couldn't let go of herself happily, so she simply blacklisted Yang Huai and blocked him from the discussion group. Yang Huai. What kind of person was this? Shi Shang updated the latest post and scrolled through the comments in boredom. Little Chi-Chi. Why do I feel that Dia is going to develop in an indescribable way? You've been so bold recently. 233333. Ha ha ha, da. Are there any benefits? You're a fool. Asking for benefits. Was it bold? Shi Shang clicked on the content that she had just updated. It was about a female ghost who kept doing it with a man in order to take revenge on him. Yes, it did seem bold. But face, don't you think that my drawing is getting better and better? Shi Shang touched his chin and asked Buttface. You've read so many indescribable books. Do you think you've read them for nothing? Shi Shang's eyes turned. No one knew what he was thinking. The city was quiet at night. The girl sitting in front of the desk stretched. The screen in front of her was showing an indescribable image. After the girl finished stretching, she quickly opened a few interfaces and sent out the pictures. The first to respond was the #1 sharpshooter that she pulled out of the blacklist. #1 sharpshooter. Su Xiaoxin, you've fallen. #1 sharpshooter. Do you know what will happen to you if your parents see this? I'll never collect your corpse. #1 sharpshooter. Madam, can we go see a doctor if we're sick? 3 consecutive messages were sent out like cannonballs. Su Xian. I'm not sick. Is my drawing good? #1 sharpshooter. I'm just stating the facts. It's very good. I'm definitely not condoning you to draw this kind of thing. If I'm invited for tea, I'll never help you. Never. And why aren't you sleeping at night? Drawing this kind of thing. Are you thirsty? Su Xian, get lost. #1 sharpshooter. Su Xiaoxin, we're all grown up. Why are you still so shy? I won't laugh at you. Do you want me to introduce you to a good boyfriend? Su Xian, just those hooligans you know. #1 sharpshooter. Hey, what do you mean? What's wrong with the hooligans I know? Who was the one who led these hooligans to help you chase away those annoying suitors? Seeing that Hao Bao Bao couldn't stop, Shang decisively blocked her again. Then he clicked on the image with a satisfied expression. I's talent was here. What kind of talent is drawing a little pornographic image? You're so proud of it. Don't you know you'll be blocked? Chapter 1576. Due to how Bao Bao's actions, Shang quickly came to a realization that he must have seen what she had drawn. That was why he thought that way. Then I can't do anything about it. This is the best I can do with my skills. This is already the result of my improvement. If it were a brush drawing, I could turn a cow into a snake. How can you blame me for not being artistic? But face, do you have any tools that can turn me into a big tentacle in a second? It's getting dark. Don't daydream. Wait, why would someone else's system have that? All kinds of skill points are flying, and I can get national level skills in minutes. Why doesn't this vase system have anything? That's someone else's system. She smiled. So, why are you following me? You're useless. Shang was furious. To be a vase. Didn't the host say that herself? The system was fearless now. A vase should have the awareness of being a vase. It was a dutiful vase and would never provide any help to the host. It was that willful. But face. Shang dragged out the word. Why are you calling me that? Shang ignored it after calling out to it. System was left feeling uneasy for a while. What's the meaning of this? Shang finished washing up and was about to continue drawing. Just as he sat in front of the computer, he saw that her messages kept flashing. Shang opened the messages and found that it was a discussion group. There were 3 other people in it besides her. There were a lot of messages, and one of them had at her. Shang sent the message to her at Lian Rong. Su Xintian, it's really Dada. Ah, I'm so happy. I didn't expect that our publishing house would be able to invite Dada. Yang Huai, hey. Lian Rong. I really like Dada's Throne of Honor. Yang Huai, have you seen it? It's super good. Yang Huai, yes. Lian Rong. It's super good, right? I didn't expect to invite Dada for the cover this time. Our publishing house is finally in style. Yang Huai. There were too many messages after that, and Shang was too lazy to read them. Lian Rong's note was the art designer, Yang Huai was the editor, so the rest should be the author. Shang's hand moved to the exit button. He hesitated for a few seconds, but in the end, he did not exit. Ahem, I still have to give some face to her die-hard fans. In fact, if she retreated, she might face How Bao Bao's strange pursuit. She just wanted to quietly act tough. She didn't want to have a battle of wits with How Bao Bao. Shang decided to ignore the discussion group for the time being and continued to paint. She didn't know what was wrong with Shang's brain, but she drew a short story that looked like a ghost story. Shang thought it was okay, so she sent it to her former editor, Tao Su. Whether she could do it herself or not, she needed someone else to do it. Tao Su. Shang looked at the 6 dots and rolled her eyes. That means it won't work. Tao Su. You want to draw a horror comic? There's a chance? Tao Su. Horror stories are quite popular now, but you've never drawn anything like that before. It's not easy to suddenly change your style. Also, your style seems to have changed a little. Overall, there's no problem. Tao Su said a lot in one breath. Not only did she analyze the market for horror stories, but she also pointed out the problem with her style. Shang's style was very wild. She had tried her best to develop into a pretty girl from a humble family, but she still couldn't stop her wild style. She was full of domineering aura. Pretentious. You need skills to be pretentious. Can you do it? Shang's environment was well rendered. With the addition of those stiff people, it was quite artistic. This was also the reason why Tao Su didn't say no immediately. After listening to Tao Su's words, Shang realized that he was quite suitable for horror stories. Hence, he finished the unfinished work in one breath. By the time he was done, it was almost 3 in the morning. Shi Shang stretched and prepared to turn off the computer and go to bed. Before turning off the computer, he checked his messages. Hao Baobao had sent no less than 50 messages to him, all asking him about the cover. Shi Shang casually replied with 6 dots. She opened the discussion group and glanced at it. The last sentence was the same one she had seen before. It meant that no one was talking. Then he didn't care anymore. Sleep, sleep. The next day, Shi Shang slept until noon. After lazily washing up, he sat on the balcony in a daze for a while, and then slowly began to work. Let me play a gaming. JPG Shi Shang was in the middle of playing when Hao Baobao's call came. Su Xiaoxin, he's asking you a question, why aren't you answering? As soon as the call connected, Hao Baobao's roar sounded. Shi Shang imagined a handsome man roaring in the middle of the road. The number of people turning their heads was definitely going to be enough. I'm busy. Shi Shang's answer was concise and comprehensive. The phone was clamped between his head and shoulder, and his fingers were rapidly typing on the keyboard. Busy? Busy with what? What are you doing over there? Why is it so noisy? Playing games. Hao Baobao was silent for a few seconds, and then roared without warning, Su Xiaoxin, you're so busy playing games that you don't have time to take a look at business? Now, immediately, go online for I. Why is there someone more irritable than me? Calm down, young man, this world needs to smile. You're pissing me off. Crying is not enough to express my feelings right now. Hao Baobao was furious. Su Xiaoxin, I'll give you 1 minute. Beep beep beep. Shi Shang's fingers quickly tapped a few times, and the boss on the screen fell to the ground. She took off the phone, threw it on the table, shook her legs, and logged out of the game. The messages in the discussion group were at the top, and there were more than 10 messages that tagged her. In addition, there were also private messages. The private messages were from Yang Huai, who was labeled as editor. Yang Huai, Teacher Su Xian, if it's convenient, please say something in the discussion group. We can discuss the cover's requirements and character design. Shi Shang was resistant when he saw this. Su Xian, I refuse. Yang Huai. Su Xian, you can find someone else, I can't draw it. She had searched for that book before, and it was a fantasy novel. If it was the Su Xian of the past, there would be no problem. Her ancient style drawing was definitely top-notch. But she wasn't Su Xian. She was only a newbie who could draw horror comics. Yang Huai. Shi Shang guessed that Yang Huai was cursing over there. Yang Huai. But teacher, you've already signed a contract with us. If you quit now, you'll have to pay for the breach of contract, and we won't be able to find another artist in time. Su Xian, what contract? She didn't even see anything. When did she sign the contract? Yang Huai. Teacher, don't pretend to have amnesia, okay? Su Xian. Shi Shang clicked on the #1 sharpshooter and sent a video over. Hao Baobao was driving, and the screen was a little shaky. What's wrong? I'm driving. Sigh, damn, the roads in China are really annoying. It's so congested that I want to kill myself. What's with the contract? Oh, that kind of small matter, I'll help you with it. That publishing company belongs to a friend of mine, don't worry, it'll be fine. Shi Shang. Chapter 1577. The second person to reply to Shi Shang was the discussion group. Someone who had never spoken before. Changxia, very well drawn. This was Chengu's author. His pen name was Changxia. He had not spoken before and Shi Shang had almost forgotten about him. Now, he suddenly appeared. Changxia, but please don't use my main character for this kind of thing. Changxia, also, Chengu's sword should be on the right. The sword pattern should be like a lotus pattern. There should be an ancient beast carved on the hilt. The school building is not so tall, blah blah blah. Shi Shang looked at the increasing number of words expressionlessly. She silently crossed them out. Luckily, she did not add this author. Perhaps Changxia saw that Shi Shang was ignoring him, so he stopped talking after a while. Then, he disappeared as if he had never appeared. The next day, Shi Shang received complaints from Yang Huai's alt account. He asked her to stop drawing useless things and quickly edit the drawing. If she had the time, she would have done it long ago. Shi Shang continued to block the alt account and continued to draw indescribable content. When Yang Huai received a huge document that was worth a few gigabytes, he opened it. He felt that he and this artist were not reading the same novel. Not only did she draw a good hot-blooded novel, but she also drew it as a forbidden scene between two men. Yang Huai almost vomited blood. What kind of artist did she find? It was fine that she did not cooperate at the beginning, but now, she even drew something like this for him. Yang Huai showed the drawing to Changxia, but the other party only gave him 6 points. This was not the artist he had chosen. Now, she gave him 6 points. What was the meaning of this? Yang Huai tried to communicate with Shi Shang, but found that she had blocked him after sending it. How infuriating. Yang Huai, teacher Changxia, do you have a grudge against her? This was the only thing Yang Huai could think of. If she had a grudge, why would she do this? Changxia, Yang Huai, if she continues to delay, I think we really have to find a new artist. Otherwise, we won't be able to make it in time. Teacher Changxia, what do you think? Changxia, you decide. Yang Huai heaved a sigh of relief. He was afraid that this teacher would not agree and insist on using Su Xian's work. After all, her cover and illustrations were really the best in the industry. Ever since Shi Shang found out that his drawings were indescribably awesome, the new horror comics were becoming more and more like 18+. Fortunately, she still had some moral integrity. The content of the update was relatively normal, and there would only be benefits at the end. As for whether or not one could see any benefits, that would depend on one's luck. Soon, everyone in the circle knew that Su Xian, who had once touched the ancient style, suddenly began to let go of himself after a strange plagiarism incident. He broke through his own bottom line and changed to 18. In those days, Su Xian painted an ancient male god. Looking at today's villain, is this the distortion of human nature or the decay of morality? There were countless similar posts. Oh, the villain was a long horror comic that Shi Shang was updating. It was about a boy with yin-yang eyes who was tortured by all kinds of ghosts and monsters. The readers expressed that they only saw the handsome and cute ghosts, and even the way they spoke was so funny. But the main character, was that even the main character? When they appeared, they would either be tortured by ghosts or turned into food. They had prepared 101 ways to eat them. Although these ghosts were killed by the main character in the end, the process was really, slowly strong. Is it my imagination? Why do I feel like the main character is getting weaker and weaker? He has only appeared a few times, and he has already been tortured to this extent by ghosts. Although the plot is good, this main character is really unbearable. Out of print love. I'm only here to read 18+. Summer solstice. You can't read 18+. The content of Su Da's update is still acceptable. You have to wait for the day when Su Da is in a good mood to give out benefits. You can choose any style you want. Young man who doesn't commit double injustice. Asking for the benefits from the previous few installments. Who has it? Out of print love. Me too. Summer solstice. Save it. Su Da's benefits can only be seen, not saved. Oh, you can record it, but the quality is comparable to that of a certain video. It's unbearable. Slim and elegant. Am I the only one who thinks these ghosts are cute? The main character is only there to accompany these ghosts. Ha ha ha. The ghosts are the main characters. I might have found out the truth. Shi Shang adhered to the style of a typical stepmother, the kind that tortured the main character to death. Perhaps it was because the ghosts had zombie faces, but they said funny things. They were good at torturing the main character, so the ghosts became popular and were spoofed into various emoticons. In this era, emoticons were the fastest thing to become popular. With the popularity of emoticons, Shi Shang's comic also became popular. The popularity ranking soared, and it quickly squeezed into the top 10 of the website's public rankings. Yes, Evil Man was not signed. Although signing a contract would allow for promotion, the original owner had her own fans. She also updated her Weibo at the same time, so it didn't matter to her whether she signed a contract or not. On the contrary, the website had already sent her a contract invitation several times, trying to sign her. She had her own fame. Although Cool Comic didn't want her, they wanted her. However, Shi Shang had no intention of signing a contract, so they ignored those messages. Shi Shang was still free to draw A18. Yang Huai probably found someone to replace her, so they didn't pay any attention to her. However, they didn't kick her out of the discussion group. After all, the contract was still there, and they were still waiting to discuss compensation. Occasionally, they would receive cordial greetings from Lien Rong's fans. Because of the A18 issue, Hao Baobao did a lot of work to convince Shi Sheng. She was so young, so why did she try to go to a small darkroom and challenge the bottom line of the law? Later, when he received the full A18 issue that Shi Shang gave him, he didn't want to talk anymore. He just wanted to call the mental hospital and send her in for treatment. She was already beyond cure, and there was no medicine to save her. Number 1 sharpshooter. Don't share this kind of thing. Do you hear me, Su Xiaoxin? Su Xin, I only sent it to you to enjoy, don't you feel honored? Of course, she knew that some things couldn't be shared. If it was too much, she would just draw it for herself. Number 1 sharpshooter. Honor. Honor. These 2 words were probably typed by Hao Baobao while gritting his teeth. He had never felt so honored before. He must have destroyed the galaxy in his previous life. Number 1 sharpshooter. Oh right, our school will be celebrating its 80th anniversary soon. We invited some graduates back to attend. Come with me. Su Xian, no. He had graduated a few hundred years ago. Why would he attend an anniversary celebration? Was he crazy? Number 1 sharpshooter. How long have you been staying at home? If you continue like this, you will become an idiot. I don't care, you have to come with me. If not, I will make a fuss in front of your house. Shi Shang didn't doubt that this idiot would do it. What the hell was going on? Chapter 1578. Shi Shang practiced her strange style, and soon it was the anniversary celebration that Hao Baobao mentioned. The original owner graduated from Jingnan University, one of the top universities in the city and even the country. It was the 80th anniversary of the establishment of Jingnan University, and the elites from all walks of life who graduated from this school were invited back to the school to participate. The scene was spectacular. Old people, middle-aged people, young people, there were all kinds of people. Shi Shang was puzzled, and asked Hao Baobao next to him, "What kind of social elite are you?" Was it a fight? This Hao Baobao classmate was a troublemaker in school, and after graduation he went out to wander without making any outstanding contributions. How could he be an elite? Was the school blind? A talent like me can only be found by chance, do you understand? Hao Baobao snorted, "Get off." Shi Shang opened the door and got off, and entered the school gate with Hao Baobao. There were a lot of people who came to participate in their year, and Hao Baobao quickly found the group. Ah, Goddess Su Xian is also here. It's been a few years, the goddess is still the goddess. Someone waved at Shi Shang. The original owner was a little familiar, but she didn't remember the name, so she just nodded. "Io, are the 2 of you together?" Everyone thought you 2 would be together, but Hao Xing ran away after graduation. After going around in circles, you 2 are still together. Bah! Hao Baobao glared at those people. Rabbits don't eat the grass near their burrows. Everyone's expression was strange. They weren't together yet? Ha ha ha, I think the goddess doesn't like you. Someone joked. Go away, if Su Xiaoxin likes me, then I'm done for. Hao Baobao held his chest, making everyone laugh. If I like you, then I'm done for. Shi Sheng glanced at Hao Baobao. Hao Baobao was not bad looking, and was as good to the original owner as a father. Why didn't the original owner have any feelings for such a man? It was because he looked too much like his father. The original owner was also a little girl, and when she was in her second year of middle school, she was very optimistic about this little childhood sweetheart, and looked forward to it. However, before she could even think about it, she was suppressed by Baby Hao's concern. She felt that she would definitely die if she were to be together with someone who was comparable to her biological father. Ha ha ha, see? It's the goddess who despises you. The group of people were convulsing with laughter. These people had a good relationship with Hao Baobao in school and often made fun of them. Back in school, everyone knew that the two of them were so close that they could wear a pair of pants together. Many freshmen who did not know the truth thought that they were a couple, but those who were familiar with Hao Baobao and Su Xin knew that the two of them did not have any chemistry at all. Baby! A man in a blue suit hugged Baby Hao. You're still single? Why don't we get together? Hao Baobao hurriedly shook him off. Get lost. Don't think that I don't know that you have a few girlfriends outside. Also, don't call me Baby I. Is that something you can call me? You're being unfriendly. The man's face was stern. How can you say such things out loud? Is Goddess Su also single? Someone took the opportunity to ask Shi Sheng. I have someone in my heart, Shi Sheng said politely. Everyone present looked at him strangely, including that silly Hao Baobao. Who is it? Why don't I know? Baby Hao was the first to explode. Is it a man or a woman? How old is he? What does he do? How much is his annual salary? Does he have a car or a house? Everyone. This was really the mode of King biological father. No wonder Goddess Su did not like him all these years. I don't know. Baby Hao, who was about to ask another question, choked. Are you kidding me? Shi Sheng shrugged. She did have someone in her heart, but she did not know who it was. How could he be kidding? In this day and age, no one believed the truth. It was so tiring. Everyone's expression was strange for a while, but soon someone changed the topic. Baby Hao glanced at Shi Sheng from the corner of her eyes from time to time, as if to say, my little green plum might be acting up again. Damn, who is that? The man in the blue suit looked in a certain direction, his eyes almost popping out of their sockets. Everyone followed his line of sight and saw a girl in a white dress walking over leisurely. The sun shone on her shoulders, making her look like she had been hit with a spotlight. Her soft black hair fluttered in the air as she walked. Shi Sheng. F***ck. This was not scientific. How long had it been since they last met? It had not even been 2 months. How could the female lead have lost so much weight? It was too obvious that she had cheated. The female lead had an easier time losing weight than other people. How could they live? Who is that? Do you know her? No. I don't know her. She's not from our batch. But I don't think there's anyone like her in the previous batches. Could she be a student? Maybe. The group of people made wild guesses, but none of them knew this girl. The girl quickly walked past them and reached the group led by the girls. Hey, she's from our batch. Isn't that the prettiest girl in our faculty? Look, that girl is talking to her. Everyone looked over and saw the girl in the white dress talking to a few other girls. They could not see their expressions clearly from afar, but from their body language, they seemed to be frightened. What kind of situation would cause such a thing to happen? Plastic surgery? Kept woman? All kinds of thoughts flashed through everyone's minds. At this moment, the prettiest girl in their faculty suddenly reached out and pushed Dark Cloud. Dark Cloud lost her balance and fell towards the person standing next to her. The man who was originally standing with his back to Dark Cloud suddenly turned around and hugged Dark Cloud with quick reflexes. Shi Sheng. What a great hero saving the damsel in distress plot. There was nothing wrong with it. Dark Cloud was helped up by the man, and the group of girls weakened. Some of them even looked shy. Isn't that Lei Ting? Hao Baobao whispered in Shi Shang's ear. Why is he here too? Who is he? Dark Cloud and Lei Ting were obviously a pair. He's a senior 3 batches older than us. He was a popular figure back then and was the dream lover of many girls. When we entered the school, he had already started his own business and opened his own company before graduation. The man next to Hao Baobao answered for her. I think it was a game company back then, but now it's not just a game company, it has expanded into many subsidiary companies. He should be very busy now, but he still has time to come back to attend the school's anniversary celebration. I don't know who is so important. After listening to the introduction, Shi Shang was almost certain that this was the male lead. Goddess, you don't even know him? Some people were curious. This was a legend in the school. In the previous batches, no one didn't know him. There were probably many legends about him in the school. Why would Su Xiaoxin know him? Hao Baobao snorted. Baobao, you're jealous, you can't do that. What am I jealous of? Hao Baobao roared loudly. She was still angry and directly hit her. A group of men dressed in suits and leather shoes were making a scene like students, which was quite eye-catching. Chapter 1579. Dark Cloud was taken away by thunder, and the group of women behind him was furious. They stood together and discussed for a while. Someone saw Shi Shang and the others, and a group of women came over. Shi Shang stared at them in horror. What are they doing here? The beauty of the department used to hate the host the most. She was not here to pick a fight. I was live streaming but face eating shit. I'm innocent. Can you let go of this pretty face system? The reason why the beauty of the department didn't get along with the host was simple. It was all Hao Baobao's fault. Su Exin, you're here too. The beauty of the department walked in front of Shi Sheng. Although she was looking at him, her peripheral vision fell on Hao Baobao, who was standing behind Shi Sheng. A man poked Hao Baobao. It was no secret that the beauty of the department liked Hao Baobao. The beauty of the department quickly withdrew her peripheral vision and looked at Su Xin with a smile. She seemed to be judging how much her clothes and accessories were worth. Maybe she estimated the value of her equipment, and the beauty of the department smiled even more beautifully. Su Xin is still so good-looking after so many years. Don't you think so? Yes, yes. Not only is she good-looking, but she's also talented. She's already a popular manga artist before graduating. She's also published a lot of works in recent years, right? But I heard that she was involved in some kind of plagiarism problem some time ago. The girl seemed to feel that she had said something wrong and immediately stopped talking. Su Xian is so talented. How could she do such a thing? The people on the internet must be talking nonsense. Isn't that right, Su Xian? She wasn't here to talk to her. She was just angry at Dark Cloud and wanted to find someone to vent her anger on. There was no reason for a woman to make things difficult for another woman. Shi Shang spat out 3 words expressionlessly. Crazy. The group of women opposite him. Pfft. Ha 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 ha. No one knew who started it first, but the group of men behind them laughed until they were convulsing. They were no longer the young boys in school who were fooled by women. After being in society for so long, they had long understood these women's tricks. The beauty of the department looked a little ugly. Su Xian, why are you scolding people? Shi Shang glanced at her calmly. Who asked you to come up here to be scolded? We're just greeting you and you're scolding us. Don't you have any manners? You're from a scholarly family? Is this what you call someone from a scholarly family? The woman in a red dress beside the department flower had a look of disdain on her face. Shi Shang's face was still cold. I don't deserve your greeting. Go and greet others. Goodbye. I won't see you off. Su Xian, did you really copy it? Otherwise, why didn't you dare to tell us? The girl in the red dress seemed to have grasped the key point and immediately looked at Shi Shang provocatively. Are you my editor or my reader? Why should I tell you? It's expensive to talk to me. Can you afford it? Oh, please make an appointment if you can afford it. Pff. The man behind her quickly waved his hand. I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. Why didn't I realize that Goddess Sue was so good at insulting people? Ha ha ha. Do you women have nothing better to do? How Bao Bao's tone was unfriendly. Get lost. The department flower's face was even uglier than before. She looked at How Bao Bao, a hint of tenderness and love suddenly appearing on her face. How Shang. The crowd suddenly fell silent, their eyes moving back and forth between How Bao Bao and the department flower. The department flower also softly opened her mouth under everyone's expectation. How Shang, from university to now, I've waited for you for so many years. Can't you bear to look at me more? How Bao Bao's brows slightly furrowed. I rejected you a long time ago, and told you clearly that I don't like you, and will never like you. What's so good about her? Is she worth you guarding her like this? The department flower suddenly pointed at Shi Shang, her tone agitated. You're so good to her. Has she ever appreciated it? She just treats you as a spare tire. Shi Shang. What does it have to do with me? Besides, the original owner and How Bao Bao were childhood sweethearts. Even if there was no love, there was still a sibling relationship. There was nothing wrong with How Bao Bao being good to the original owner. What happened between me and Su Xiaoxin has nothing to do with you. I'm willing to guard her. He had doted on his sister for so many years. How could he let others gossip about her? Thank you for liking me, but I don't like you. Goodbye. How Bao Bao's attitude was even tougher than before. How Shang, you will regret it. The department flower's tears dripped down. The crowd was a little embarrassed. The correct way to win over How Bao Bao should be to please Su Xian, and let Su Xian pull the strings. Even if it doesn't work out in the end, it shouldn't be like this. The department flower's IQ is worrying. How Bao Bao was unmoved. He had rejected at least 80 to 100 people. Since he didn't like her, of course the harder he rejected, the better. There was no need to worry about the other party's feelings. If he worried about the other party's feelings, he would be the one to suffer in the end. Seeing How Bao Bao like this, the department flower was even more heartbroken, and ran away crying. The girls she brought with her glared fiercely at Shi Shang, and chased after the department flower. Shi Shang. Shut up. Bullshit. What? Why are you staring at I didn't ask How Bao Bao to reject. Can't you be reasonable? Peach Blossom Det. Bao Bao, why don't we be gay? How Bao Bao, the department flower really loves you. She has been waiting for you for so many years, says it. What a pity. Are you done? How Bao Bao shouted at them. Everyone laughed until the broadcast stopped, and they were told to gather at the school field. Only then did it stop. On the school field, the students were already seated according to their classes, and they each occupied a space according to their cohort. Lei Tang and the female lead were not in the same cohort, so naturally, they couldn't stand together. So when How Bao Bao's group of friends saw Black Cloud appear in their group, they were dumbfounded. She was in the same cohort? They probably went to a fake university. Her name is Black Cloud. Do you know her? Never heard of her. She seems to be in the same class as Goddess Sue. Do you know Goddess Sue? Shi Shang said with a serious face. No. The female lead successfully stunned many people, especially those in the same cohort as the female lead. How could they have been so blind not to notice such a beautiful person before? When Black Cloud saw Shi Shang standing in front of How Bao Bao, she didn't know if it was out of fear or something else, but she moved to the side. Coincidentally, Lei Tang's cohort was right next to theirs. She didn't know how they arranged it, but there were two cohorts between them, and the male lead's cohort was right next to theirs. According to the plot, the male and female leads would meet each other by coincidence, and then some irresistible things would happen, which would improve their relationship. Unlike her, who created all kinds of coincidences. Just thinking about it made her angry. Asterisk, this is a fake group, Little Fairy. The river flows to the east, the stars in the sky join the Big Dipper, 1 or 2 votes will be cast, it would be a waste not to vote. Cherub. Are you crazy? Little Fairy. Yeah, you can only treat her if you have a vote. Cherub. Goodbye. Hashtag asking for Huang Chanwei's vote today. Hashtag you're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.